of Allegiance now. Please rise and join me.
Chris, would you like to?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Test 1, 2.
Something I never thought about.
Oh, they left it here. Thank you.
Here.
He didn't hear you.
Here. She changed the order.
Councilmember West,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martirena,
Here.
Mayor Edge.
Here. Okay. Before we get started, we've got an item that apparently a lot of people want to address. It's 6B regarding the orchard lot. So we're going to move that up to after the next item, which is public comment on items that are not on the agenda. And so we'll take that a little bit sooner than it would come up normally, and that'll help a lot of you leave early like I would like to do. So we'll go to public comment on items not on the agenda now.
Do you want a motion after that?
Do we need a
To move it?
Do I need a motion to move it?
There was another item I was wondering if it could be put on the agenda. I missed it. It's simply a proclamation for Small Business Week.
For Small Business
Would
Week?
that be okay just for? It's in May.
As an agenda item, maybe they can do it as an emergency.
No, it's emergency that overlooked it, but.
Maybe you could do it under city council comments, just.
Okay.
A reading. It's a reading.
Can we take action on it under comments?
Well, it's not really it's just a proclamation. so
We just
I think
read
it's
it.
not-
Okay.
Recognize it, okay. We can do that.
Or under, why can't we do it under public comment?
Well, she said.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we'll go to public comment on items not on the agenda. So if anything is on the agenda that you want to address, now is not the time. But if there's something that's not on the agenda and you want to speak to that item or that subject, now would be the time.
Okay.
Who's coming?
She's got speaker cards.
Suzanne Rogers?
Suzanne Rogers.
Hello, everybody. My husband Keith and I are here again. We're at 101 Lane Court, and we still haven't had anything going on with the open storm drain that's running into our backyard. And I realized that we had a lot of rain and that it was impossible to get any equipment in there. But the rain has stopped and it seems dry enough, and we've never really been contacted about what's going on, and I've left messages, and I did speak to Roger one time, and we would like to know if anything's even been ordered or if anything's moving forward. We've never gotten a date. I was actually told the 15th of April, which was 3 days ago, and we haven't had anything going on. And we would really like to see what is going on. What's the status of the storm drain? And anything else, Darren?
No, just an update, just so we can move forward with our backyard once it's done,
So,
It's getting in the way of us now. We can't plant plants and we can't do stuff because we've got equipment and people got to come in and that sort of thing. We would just like to get an update.
I talked to Roger on that this morning.
And I did talk to Lance Gorman at Caltrans again, and everything will be paid for, even the labor. Nothing will come out of the city's pocket. That's what I was told. So you guys can totally talk to him, and that's what I was told. So hopefully nothing out of the city's pocket. Labor, equipment, materials, everything will be paid for. So we just want to get going. It's been over 2 years now that we've been waiting on this. So we're just asking for you guys' help again. That's all.
It's on the staff report.
Yeah,
It's
I
addressed
saw it
on the
on
staff
there, yeah.
report,
Have
so.
you looked over your back fence,
Yes.
Leslie? Have you seen the trees that we removed?
No.
The grading?
No?
and everything, and they've been working 4 days back there to get it ready to access your rear lot. So I would say that you should take a look over it. There's a lot of work being done in preparatory to get that pipe in and across that creek.
That's great.
Good to know.
Yeah, a call would have been nice. We didn't know. We had no idea.
And yeah, we'd like to coordinate with whoever is going to come into the yard, as far as we have a dog.
We have
and,
a goat, we have chickens.
we've got,
Yeah.
We have that covered
Chickens?
where we will be putting a barrier up 25 feet from the wall that will keep all of the animals in the alpha construction zones. So that we can
Okay.
excavate the stockpile of material, sand and the pipe, install it and then back.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's great to hear.
yeah. That's nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speaker questions?
James Strangton?
Actually, this was really on the agenda. But I live at 85 San Antonio, and it's not really an issue right now, but there's a big grassy field right behind the house. And when it gets drier, it's probably going to be a fire hazard. So I'm wondering if there's some talk in the future about maybe a fire break along there. Somebody can address that.
We have a weed abatement ordinance. Notices have been sent out and to the property owner to diss those weeds. And so you'll probably be seeing some activity within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. One more?
John McCormack?
On top of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Mary?
Hello, how are you? We just want to come forth. We are the new face of the Posada de San Juan. My mom is, Mrs. Lopez, is retiring. So we just want to come down, introduce ourselves, get everybody, let them know what we're doing. Right now we have the travel channel down here, showcasing San Juan, showcasing everything that we all have going on, like the Pinnacles, we have Hollister Hills close by, so that we can start bringing more people this way. The transition is going to take us probably about a month or so. Travel Channel's in there right now, and they're going to help us with it. So we just want to come down, say hi, and introduce ourselves. This is Eddie. He's my nephew. He's going to be the manager. He's Mr. Lopez's and Mrs. Lopez's grandson. My sister Renee, she's one of the owners. I'm also an owner. So there's 2 other siblings that we are owners. So we're just going to try and rejuvenate the hotel.
Fantastic.
We've got a lot of deferred maintenance we're taking care of.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're hoping to get somebody into the Cutting Horse. So if anybody knows of anybody
All
that needs
right.
a restaurant place,
Finally,
here,
that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
please,
That's been our hurdle.
We want to do a lot of things, involve the city with La Posada, and really bring people in, and have them spend their money here and enjoy the local shops, the local bakeries, the local restaurants, That's like one of our big things. I know it's kind of been hard with dealing with my grandma, but with the new faces and the ideas.
We want to try and integrate the local businesses so that we can support each other to bring more people in our town.
Exactly.
so we just
So-
came to say hi.
New fresh faces?
Yeah.
Lots
Fantastic.
of good ideas.
Fantastic.
So,
Yeah. Should we leave our contact information or something to
We,
some?
we know where you
please
You
are.
know where we are.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
thank you for your
Thank you.
Yay. You can finally get a steak in this town.
Okay, is there any other public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay, we'll close that.
That was cool.
Item 6B, consider resolution 2016 XX, establishing communication with state on Orchard Block.
Did we need a motion to move that up, or?
You don't have to do an actual motion, but you can do it by consensus.
Okay.
It's okay?
Oh, we all agree?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Rick, you can do whatever you want.
Pardon me?
You can do whatever you want.
I can't hear.
I just turned my mic on. It wasn't on before. Can you hear me now? If I want to cuss, I'll just shut it off. Okay, Roger, do you want to make a report on this item, and then we'll go into public comment?
Okay.
Would you like us to?
Yeah. About 3 months ago, Tony and I met with Assemblyman Aleo and his assistant, and we talked about this very subject of how we could encourage communicating with the state and gaining a little bit more access to the orchard lot along 3rd Street. The Assemblyman and his assistant, Dan Dodge, responded, and they came and met with Tony and I, and we invited Chris Monterano and Georgiana, and we've been having a series of discussions and talking points of how to proceed and talk with the state officials to see if we can get the support to open it up more readily to the community and make it available to the citizens of the San Juan Bautista. And so that's kind of where we're at. I've prepared a resolution that would kind of infer that we are really interested in establishing some communication and dialogue to do some collaborative work with the orchard lot so that we can make it easily accessible to many of the activities that goes on in our downtown. So from that, I'll turn it over to Chris and Tony. They've been in the meetings, as well as Georgiana Gallart. Yes.
I wonder if we should read this for the audience, because I don't know how many of them have seen it.
Yes.
Do you want to do that, Chris?
Yeah,
since
I'd be
you were
happy
involved
to.
in the
So,
meeting?
resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista requesting communication and dialogue with the State of California to explore alternative uses of Orchard Garden Lot on 3rd Street. Whereas the city has long recognized the cultural and historical significance of the Orchard Garden Lot in its relationship to the historic 3rd Street downtown district, and whereas the historic 3rd Street downtown district is the principal foundation of the city's tourist-based economy, drawing visitors, tourists, students, and historians from all parts of the world. And whereas the San Juan Bautista Mission is the cornerstone of the early California settlement that established the religious history and cultural presence of the city and is a primary educational program for many of the elementary students in our state. And whereas the state park provides a comprehensive and interpretive history of early California living that augments the mission and the 3rd Street Historic Downtown District to attract visitors, tourists, students, and adults to experience the cultural history of early San Juan Bautista. And whereas the Orchard Garden Lot is situated in the heart of the historic downtown district, and access to the lot could provide new and increased cultural, archaeological, and historical opportunities for visitors, tourists, students, and adults to experience the early California living environment. And whereas daily accessibility and utilization of the orchard lot would have a valuable economic effect to the city, community, visitors, and tourists in providing an area for collaborative events, artistic and theatrical programs, cultural and educational programs, and community-based family events. And whereas the city desires to enter into meaningful dialogue and communication with the state of California for increasing the accessibility and utilization of the Orchard Garden Lot to provide expanded opportunities for the many visitors, tourists, students, adults, and community members. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the City Council hereby adopts this resolution on this date. So. Good. So the assembly member's office has suggested that we provide them with the resolution and solicit input from the community and support, hopefully in support of the resolution, so that they have a record and a specific document to cite in bringing this issue forward to the state park system and the state government. So this is sort of our first real step toward opening the dialogue and hopefully improving access and gaining access on a more regular basis to the Orchard Garden Lot.
Okay, any questions before we open it up to public comment?
Well, let me, in addition to this resolution, what we have to do is presuming that some of them in LAO, and he's already talked to the head of the parks, state parks, and apparently there's some good feelings. In other words, quite possible they're going to go along with this. But then in the future, if we get this lot, we're going to need a lot of help, Rotary, whoever else, to clean it up, hopefully put some benches in so people can go get a loaf of French bread at the bakery and have a little picnic there or whatever. And so it's going to take the community to put this all together. We do have some money in our Parks and Rec fund, but we're going to need help.
And lots of teamwork.
And lots of what?
Teamwork.
Teamwork, yeah. I'm
So,
sure.
and the community's come together so successfully with the changes to Verudi Park. This seems like a sort of a natural next step in improving the public spaces in town. So,
I don't know if anybody's made the comment, but that really came out nice. You guys,
yeah.
the Rotary and everybody else, congratulating you. You did a great job on that park.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Okay,
my
so-
granddaughter thanks you.
Sorry. Do we have any public comment? Any speaker cards?
Hello, council members. I'm here as a representative of the Native Daughters of the Golden West. And at our meeting last week, our membership unanimously supported this venture, and they asked me to speak under public comment to support it and share our wish to see this take place. So I'm here for the Native Daughters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Fritsch.
I'm representing the Rosa's House organization, newly formed here in San Juan to promote the history and culture of San Juan Bautista and the surrounding areas, and in support of other organizations. And we're very much for this particular resolution. I can remember back in the 1980s when that was open, that whole orchard area was open, and we even had a community vegetable garden going. So it's definitely something that this whole community can utilize. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
Good evening. Van de Guibert, 5 Donner Street. Dear members of the City Council, the San Juan Bautista Historical Society voted at its February 14, 2016 meeting for the following statement in support of greater cooperation between the State Historic Park and the City of San Juan Bautista to broaden public access to the Orchard Garden open space at the heart of our downtown. We hope you'll explore various options for this cooperation. A member of the San Juan Bautista Historical Society has served on every State Park Citizens Advisory Committee since the park was established, and we request that if a new advisory committee is created, the Historical Society might continue to be represented. And I am speaking as the president of the Historical Society, and the following is our statement. The mission of the San Juan Bautista Historical Society is to preserve, interpret, and provide access to the history of the historic town adjacent to Mission San Juan Bautista and the San Juan Bautista State Historic Park. A specific purpose is to arouse interest and appreciation in the historical heritage of San Juan. Our 1965 charter states that one of our projects is to cause the citizens of this community to become more fully aware of the fascinating historical heritage that surrounds them in the town of San Juan Bautista. Making the Orchard Garden an open, accessible public space, enhancing the character of our National Register Historic Downtown District, is consistent with our goals. Essential to its success is preservation of any culturally or historically significant elements of the garden, and equally important, preservation of all state and local park protections. The state park system has suffered severe budget cuts, limiting its ability to provide improvements in access to the Orchard Garden. If the city could enter into a management agreement or some other mechanism with the state park to share the burden of providing greater public access improvements to the Orchard Garden, we believe all residents and visitors would benefit. We think it is worthwhile for the city to explore with the state park cooperative ways to provide landscape improvements such as walk pathways, seating, picnic, and signage, and security improvements in the Orchard Garden. This would broaden public access and benefit all visitors to the Mission, State Park, and City of San Juan Bautista, and thereby further our mission of raising awareness of our historical heritage. And your resolution was very, very strong. I think you really incorporated everything that we're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Valerie,
Gentlemen of the council, and I'll read a letter that the REACH board has agreed to as far as our position with the opening of the Orchard Park. Access to the Orchard Garden, 3rd Street, San Juan Bautista, California. REACH San Benito Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded in 2012 to raise funds and advocate for improvements to our parks and recreational facilities, programs, and services benefiting our community. Our vision is to ensure healthy living in San Benito County through parks and recreation. Our partners are the San Benito County Board of Supervisors, Hollister City Council, San Juan Bautista City Council, San Benito County Parks and Recreation Commission, San Benito County Chamber of Commerce, Hazel Hawkins Memorial Hospital, San Benito Historic Park, the Aromas Community Grange, and more. REACH San Benito Foundation is actively engaged in promoting the projects in the general plans of the whole of the county and its cities here where we live. Therefore, we are supporting the City of San Juan Bautista in making the Orchard Garden an open, accessible public space, enhancing the character of our National Register Historic Downtown District, as quoted from the Historic Society. Essential to its success is preservation of any cultural or historically significant elements of the garden, and equally important, preservation of all state and local park protections. There are many incremental steps that can be taken by a town, its county, and the state in efforts to create vibrant recreational opportunities for our tourists and the community. The advantages of opening the Orchard Garden will outweigh the cost in effort and treasure. In the years ahead, our population in California will outstrip the number of park facilities we now have. Therefore, it is our concerted belief that the state must move to cooperate with the communities in opening spaces that can be of mutual benefit to help the economy and community well-being. Ensuring healthy living in San Benito County, the REACH Board of Directors.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Donna Holmes?
Donna Holmes, 501 7th Street. Thank you for allowing us all to speak tonight. And I don't know why my voice disappeared, but it did, and I'm sorry. I was one of the original Rotarians that worked 3 or 4 years ago on the state park. And it was a project of the entire Rotary District, District 6. So there were 5 or 6 Rotary clubs that worked on this project. And we mapped it out, our club did. We had a wonderful leader in Annette. She just brought it all together for us, and we really did work hard. Everybody came. The whole park was full of Rotarians. We all had our shirts on, and we were all working hard. And we had benches made so that we could put the benches in the park when it was complete. We cleaned the paths. We remade a lot of the paths. We did the arbor. We built new gates. It was a real wonderful project, and we felt like we had really accomplished something when we were through it. The biggest disappointment we had was the benches, and we could not put them in the state park. So we had to make arrangements with the city to put them along the sidewalks. And I just want you to know how happy I am, particularly, and I'm sure everybody else, that this is open again, and it is possibly going to be open to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Jolene Cosio.
Jolene Cosio, 181 Lang Street. I am 100% behind this project, and at our last strategic planning committee, as Chris knows, since he's on the strategic planning committee, we voted that we would put all of our support behind it. I learned a lot at the last strategic planning committee meeting about the park that I didn't know. My husband was born outside the city, just outside the city limits in 1943, and so I knew from him that the park had long been open. Since he was a child, it had been open for kids to go in and have lunches and all that kind of thing, and he was under the impression that at that time it was a city-owned park. I learned at the strategic planning committee meeting that as far as anyone can find out, the city never did own the park, but it did used to be open to the public. For a long time it was open to the public. And it would be wonderful to see it again, whether they want to turn it over to the city or whether they just want to allow us in. It would be great. Right now it's not like it's a high wall and a lock where nobody can get in. If somebody wants to go in and get fruit off the fruit trees, they can easily get in now. And I think having it open would be just so great for the city. And I'm really glad you guys are doing this, and I want to encourage anybody, whether you're on the JACL or the Rotary or Historic Society, and it sounds like you do have all the support, but every group in the city, I think, needs to get behind this, as well as the private citizens. And so Strategic Planning Committee is behind this, and I think it'll be great whether it's open just for lunches and benches or farmers markets or planting gardens. It's going to be a real boom for the city. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jolene.
Larry Kane.
Honorable Council, I'm sorry I had to come in my work clothes, but I am here to work anyway. And I think that this is something you're to be congratulated on bringing it forward. It's something that we've needed to do for a long, long time. When the previous administrations were here, we talked about it, but we didn't do it. And I congratulate you. I'm here to help you, and the service club is involved. We will help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Any others?
Lynette Kane. How great to follow in my dad's footsteps.
Hello, good evening, council members. I'm Annette Kane. I live in Monterey, but I'm a member of the San Juan Bautista Rotary Club, and my heart is here in this town. And I am pledging my full support in helping Rotary with the project however we can. I heard you say benches. I know how we can do benches. So we welcome the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Annette. That's it? Is there anybody else that wanted to comment? Grab the speaker card real quick and put your name on it for our records. Okay, we'll close the item and bring it back to the council. Any discussion? Motion?
We did not, John Freeman was not able to make it from the Strategic Planning Committee, but that group who I would imagine is very likely to be, if this moves forward, is fairly likely to take over sort of a leadership role as a committee to manage whatever process we put into place. That body voted unanimously to support the resolution.
Okay, great. Any other comment?
Yeah, I'd like to, what happened here was, excuse me, at the Teatro Campesino's 50th anniversary, Assemblyman Eleo was there along with various other dignitaries, and I still can't believe what's happened. I walked up to him and I said, Luis, we need your help. And then he set up a meeting with himself, his wife, and Dan Dodge, and we met in Hollister, and we discussed the orchard lot and a couple other things. We need his help on our pellet plant project, or the water project here in town. But very honestly, and he's not running for re-election either.
He's termed out.
And I was just amazed that we could talk to an assemblyman, and he actually got things going for us. So all these years that I've been here for 50 plus years, and I always wondered about that lot, and then Georgiana showed me a picture of where there was nothing on it. There was no orchard. There was, in fact, I think at one time there were some buildings on it that burned down, and yeah, she's got it. She's asking me. She's asking me what year these cars were. Like I've been down to the Ford dealer and bought a new one or something. I don't know. But anyhow, to me, this is just the pinnacle. We need this for our downtown. There are so many tourists, whoever can come in there, and like I say, we have some picnic benches. It's just getting it out of the state's hands and into our hands is going to be great. Thank you.
Take it back from Brown.
Any further discussion, or somebody want to make a motion? We have a resolution.
Go ahead, you do it.
Okay. I move that we approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista requesting communication and dialogue with the State of California to explore alternative uses of Orchard Garden Lot on 3rd Street.
Second.
All those in favor? Oh,
Aye.
roll call. I'm sorry.
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Margarina?
Aye.
Mayor Reg?
Yes.
The members of the council being present, the motion is supervised and passed unanimously.
What number is that?
So now the work begins. Thank you all.
Connie, what number is that?
What number?
16.
16?
Does anybody from the Historical Society real quickly know what year the state acquired this land?
I believe it was 34, 35.
34, 35, and there was no orchard on it at that time.
No.
But weren't there a couple of buildings on the kind of the north corner
The
at
San
3rd
Juan
Street?
Meat Market was on the northwest corner. I think that was Anton Tax Meat Market. And we think there were some adobes in that area too, but we don't have any evidence of that.
So it hasn't always been an orchard?
No.
It never was actually an orchard.
Great.
I don't know where that
Thank you,
came
Ben.
from.
No evidence.
Except for that quote-unquote 200-year-old pear tree.
Okay, so we'll go to item 3 now, consent items. Does anybody want to pull any of these from the list?
Jim found an issue with the agenda.
Yeah, the minutes didn't make
Oh,
sense.
the minutes.
I think we're going to pull the minutes.
Is that even on there?
Which,
I, 3I.
Yeah, okay. I think they came out to us rough, and there was going to be a finished copy, but I haven't had a chance to read it
I think
yet.
we're just going to postpone it from next week.
Yeah, let's continue that. Okay, any other items that need to be pulled?
I'll make a motion, we passing consent items, pulling I to move forward.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martirena?
Aye.
Mayor Edge?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the passes unanimously.
Okay, and we're going to continue the minutes.
Connie,
Roger, do we need-
before we go, Connie, could you give us the numbers of 3C would be 17?
Yes, so 17.
Okay. D?
17, 18.
All right. E? 19? And H? 20. Okay, good. Good.
Okay, and I need to sign one of these for...
You need to sign
Is
4 of them.
is it
One that I labeled 19.
integrated waste? Is that the one?
Yes.
Okay. Great, thank you. And do we need a motion to continue I, or we're going to continue the minutes
I
from
thought we
February?
approved them all. with
That
the
was part of the
exception
motion that I
We pulled
continued
I.
I.
Yeah, he did in the
And
motion.
that was part of the motion I continued I.
Oh, you
And it will be
continued?
automatically continued.
Okay, great. I didn't catch that, thank you. Okay, we'll go to item number 4, presentations, informational items, and reports. First one
Mr. Pat Garrett.
is presentation of plaque to outgoing planning commissioner Pat Garrett. You know, that was your appointment. Would you like to give him the plaque? Yeah, I don't mind doing it, but... Pat, we have something for you. Pat served us on the planning commission for several years, working hard, because planning commissioners do work very hard.
Not I talk. Once you get started, we'll be here all. No, I shouldn't be giving this, be quitter, but anyway. Resigned, or whatever. I served my 4 years, right. This plaque is presented to Pat Garrett with sincere and grateful appreciation for dedicated service to the citizens of San Juan Bautista, Historical Resources Board, and the Planning Commission, January 2011 to January 2016. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Planning commissioners work very hard, and it's an unsung job, so we appreciate all the service.
It's almost as tough as this one.
No, it's tougher, by far. Okay, that's why I left, came to the council. Okay, next item, presentation by Water Resources Association Representative Sean Novak. Hi, Sean, how are you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, fellow council members. As you know, I come over here every year, ask you to proclaim May as Water Awareness Month. The reason we do that is because that starts our irrigation season, the residential water use. And it's like a bell curve. We start seeing it ramp up in May and June and peaks out in July and August and goes back down in the fall. So we always like to take a moment in May to kind of remind people about our water and be careful with it, with the irrigation and all that. But this year, since we're still in lingering drought that hangs over us, I kind of wanted to give you an overview, like a really high overview of where we've been, where we are, where we're going as far as the groundwater basin goes. So for those of you who don't know me, I am with the Water Resources Association in San Benito County. I represent the city of San Juan Bautista, the San Benito County Water District, the city of Hollister, and the Sunny Slope County Water District for all their water conservation, water resource protection programs. So could you change the slide for me, please? First I want to just go over our rainfall the last 4 years. As you can see in 2012, our rainfall goes from October 1st to September 30th. And you can see in 2012 we only got about half of what our average rainfall is, which is around 13 inches of rain. 2013 you got 48% of that average. 2014 was 41%, and then in 2015 we got about 82%. Now from October 1st of 2015 to the end of March, we were about 12 inches of rain. So we're right around the average range. So that's really not going to do a lot for us as far as all these years of drought to replenish our groundwater basin. So the message is we still need to conserve. You can see that the Central Valley project, oh, you go back to that slide, yeah. You can see from the Central Valley project, we get allocations from that system. And the last 2 years, Ag got a 0 allocation. The M&I allocations were very anemic. You can see it was 1,599 in 2014. 2015 it was 1,810 acre feet. Acre feet of water, those you can't see, is like 325,000 gallons of water. So that's for our entire basin, our allocation. Next slide, please. So to make up for those years where we didn't get our average rainfall, we would have had to receive 23 inches of rain. Okay? I guess it's a good thing we didn't, or we'd probably be in floods, right? But we got about our average amount this year, so that's not going to make up for past years. Our local groundwater basin needs about 20,000 acre feet of water per year just to keep it in balance. Okay? And the last year we received that kind of allocation was 2012. And that was both the municipalities and industrial combined along with the ag allocations. The last couple of years we've seen about 40,000 acre feet of water used. So we are lowering our groundwater basin, not putting as much back in as we need to. So again, the immediate action is to conserve water. Next slide, please. We must keep improving our abilities to cope with droughts, because if we look into the future, meteorologists and weather experts say we're seeing climate change. And that's going to mean less snowpack, more variable weather, more warm weather with intense periods of rain and then dry periods. So we have to adjust to that. And another big driver about looking out into the future is our population. Right now we're about 38 million people in the state. We're projecting about 60 million by 2050. And they're going to have to live somewhere, and I'm sure a lot are going to make their
I'm out of here.
county. So, our water not only is it important for life, for growing food, but, for recreation, for the environment, and also the economy, to drive our economy. So it's probably one of our most important resources. Next slide, please. So what do? We need to come up with a diverse approach. The buzzword in the water industry right now is a diverse portfolio of water sources, okay? So I know the San Benito County Water District, what they're trying to do is bring over water, like we have a wet year, bring over as much water as we can from the reservoirs, like at San Luis Reservoir and whatnot, bring that into our groundwater basin and percolate it back into our groundwater basin so we can use it during droughts, like we've been doing the last few years. That's what we've been living on, essentially. Also to reduce our water demand, conserve water. We have a recycled water project that's going to come online in late July, which really excites me, because that means that water, we won't be using it once, we'll be able to use it twice, maybe 3 times, and give that recycled water to the farmers. There's going to be a pipeline that goes from the reclamation plant in Hollister out Bright Road, out towards the airport area and that area. There's a lot of farms out there that can hook into that system, so that's very exciting. Also, regional coordination and cooperation. I came here in 2004, nobody was talking to each other. Everybody kind of worked in their own silos, they weren't working together. And now I'm seeing a lot more cooperation between the agencies, and that's a really good thing to do, because, putting more minds together, stretching dollars and things like that is what we have to do. Next slide, please. So what's going on? This is happening over in the Hollister urban area, but it does affect San Juan, because as you know, the water comes from the southeast in our county and works its way out to the northwest, and it passes right behind Anzar School over here, where it hooks up with the Pajaro River right about the Chittenden Gap and then flows out to the ocean. So whatever happens upstream is going to affect you guys down here. So the Hollister Urban Area Project, if you haven't heard about it, is the Sunny Slope County Water District, San Benito County Water District, and City of Hollister are all working together to improve the water quality over there. And they're going to do that by bringing in more surface water from the CVP system that can be used for those purposes. This higher quality water will make a higher quality wastewater after we use it, and that will be able to be cleaned up and be given to farmers, and also injected back into our groundwater basin, which will help protect it by putting better quality water in there than what's going in now, and allow us to use recycled water. So that's very important. In addition, in my agency, we can keep on hammering on people. We need to conserve. Because one thing we have to remember is Californians have been really good about stepping up during times of drought, reduce their water use. It's a way of life now. We can't just slack off when we have a wet year. We need to do it all the time. It needs to be part of our who we are. And we're seeing that with a lot of the green plumbing codes that came online, where they require low-flow plumbing and all new construction, smaller landscape areas with less turf, things like that. So we are seeing more efficient use of water, recycled water, gray water systems, things like that. So we are seeing technologies helping us. We're getting smarter as we observe things that have happened in the past. So I think we're on a good path here. Next slide, please. There's a couple plans in progress right now. One is the Urban Water Management Plan. San Juan doesn't need to participate in that. That is required by the state, and it's required by every water agency that serves 3,000 people or delivers 3,000 acre-feet of water. So San Juan doesn't meet that threshold. So the three agencies up in Hollister combined together to produce this document, and that's kind of like my game book. In there, we look at demand and supply and what things my agency can do to reduce that demand so we have more supply for some of the things we want to do. So we look out on a 5-year horizon and then update it at the end of that 5 years. Next slide, please. There's also a master plan update, and that is a local document. And again, the three agencies over in Hollister are working together. And they look at, continuous improvements, trying to meet new drinking water regulations, which have come into play in the last year. Look at our dry years and what is our response to dry years, how we can better respond to that. What do we need as far as water supply for our long-term growth and needs? So it takes a real hard look at that. We address the wastewater, recycled water infrastructure, things like that as well, and provide updates on estimated costs and timing and what triggers that. What triggers that to build it. We don't want to get in a situation where you're up against the wall and you got to react, because no decisions are good decisions at those type of situations. Next slide, please. So the drought is still with us, and it's a hard message this year for me, because when we look out, we see the green hills. People know there's a snowpack. We see water in San Luis Reservoir. We know it's only about half full. But like I said, we haven't gotten enough water to really replenish our groundwater basin. So we need to let that water stretch. And I heard long-term weather forecasts, they're predicting a La Nina for next year, which is the opposite of El Nino, and that's kind of a dry winter. I don't have much faith in long-term forecasts. I know the last couple of years they said the El Nino was going to be a huge rain event. And as I told you earlier, it was a very average year. So long-term forecasting is more of an art than a science these days. Next slide, please. We'll pass that because that's a link that opens to the internet. But I want to show our contact information, people at home and people here. If you need any services, we can offer a free leak check at your home. Make sure you don't have any leaks. So if you have something simple like a toilet flappers worn out, because we do have hard water, those soft rubber flappers get worn out. We can replace those free of charge for you. Make sure you don't have any other leaks in your house. Install low-flow shower heads, faucet aerators, give you a hose nozzle to use outside, because right now, especially if you wash a car or something like that, you need to have that shut-off device on your hose so it shuts off automatically. More importantly, we can look at your landscape irrigation system, make adjustments if are needed, and provide recommendations for you. And if you have a water softener, we can make sure that that's set properly for the number of people you have in your household and how hard the water is. Because the hardness levels kind of fluctuate from neighborhood to neighborhood. So we like to dial in. We have a hard water tester on the truck. We can dial in on that and make sure it's the appropriate thing. But again, I just wanted to bring that to everybody's minds here that we're still in drought. We need to conserve, and I'm really proud of San Juan Bautista, the city of Hollister. People here get the water connection, so they help me do my job. When the state asked us to reduce our water use, everybody stepped up. We did it, and I had a lot of calls from people saying, "Oh, my landscape's it's all gonna die." Well, most landscapes survived. There are a few trees that didn't make it, but most landscapes came back. We did meet the goals of our water reduction, and I think that says a lot for our community. It's really good. We didn't have to issue one violation to anybody. We had to send out a few letters as reminders, but we didn't have to kick anybody and fine them for anything. So I thank everybody for that. I think everybody gets the importance of water. And like I said, I'm a resource for the city of San Juan Bautista, so please call me, use me. If I don't know the answers to your question, I have access to a lot of really smart people and people that know things about the city, the state, the county, the world. So if I don't know the answer to a question, I can get it for you. So thank you for having me here tonight, and I'm hoping that we proclaim May as Water Awareness Month.
Can I ask
Thank you, Sean.
Can I ask Sean a question?
Yeah, questions?
Sean, you mentioned recycled water.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you going to have to, well, let me put it this way. We plumbed with the purple lines for our parks and the cemetery and everything, and then we spent all this money to do this, and then the state said, oh no, you can't use that water unless you put in all these test wells, and we figured that, Roger figured it was going to run us about $30,000 to $40,000 a year just to do the testing, to use that water. Now, is that still true with the state? I mean,
You just have to hammer away at them. I mean, I don't have much experience in that, but I do know that if you keep in tight contact with them and you work with them, and I know Roger's been good at this as far as contacting the State Water Control Board, but I mean, the state, it's a weird situation because the state is encouraging recycled water, but then they put up roadblocks like that.
well, are you going to have to do that for?
They have to do it up there, but you know, we have more resources, a bigger
Yeah.
population, so you can spread the expense among a larger population, so it doesn't hurt as much. You know, so you guys are in a bit of a pickle, but you know, I know you're hammering away at it.
Well, I thought you had the magic pen or something.
Well,
Just sign it.
How about, I mean, is there going to be any money available for smaller communities that can't keep up with that?
I've seen some at the state level. I know that Proposition 1 that was passed to help rebuild the Delta area. There's some funding earmarked in there to help build your infrastructure and also for water conservation projects, which that would certainly fall under.
Yeah.
And like I said, the state, on every level I've read, encourages recycled water. So
And that was Prop 1?
Yes.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome. And I just want to say, I know Roger and the rest of the city council has been working on infrastructure upgrades. I know it hasn't been easy, but you guys are making progress. I've seen it in my own eyes. It's slow. I'd like it to be quicker, but you guys have a lot of restrictions too. So, but you're working it.
And I would like to reiterate what Nishan has said is we have seen a change in the Regional Water Quality Control Board's attitude towards the monitoring and the testing and everything, and they've recognized is that some of the postage stamp requirements can't be applied universally. They have to pick and choose those, and so they're changing some of their criteria.
Yeah, but I also wanted to add too, the water conservation regulations that were put in place last summer, they're still in place right now. But the state is taking input from all the water agencies in the state right now, and they're supposed to make an announcement in May of whether they're going to be as stringent or they're going to relax them a little bit. Because you get north of San Francisco and they have a lot of rain up there. Many of the reservoirs are either full or close to being full. You get south of San Francisco, it's a whole different story. So rather than a whole cookie cutter approach to the whole state, they might change it a little bit regionally. So I'll be monitoring that and do a big public outreach in May as soon as we hear from the state on what that's going to be.
Good, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any public comment? Anybody have any questions? Is that on this item, Jolene? No?
No, I do
Okay.
have a quick comment, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean, very much, and perhaps you can help us when we're able to take over the Orchard Park with the landscape.
I was thinking that. I'd love to do a drought tolerant.
We can tap him, so to speak.
We help with the school over here, and I'd be more than happy to try to see what we can do for that park.
Great.
Now that I brought it back around to the Orchard, I would like to mention that Louis Alejo's representative is here. I'm sure he wasn't aware that you were going to move the item.
No.
forward. If you have any questions for him.
Okay, so does that finish this item off? We have no questions, so
we'll keep them
this
up
is
here.
a report. Our next item is the actual proclamation. So we could move to that, and I believe you said, Sean, that we don't need to read the whole thing?
No, you just need to make an official proclamation.
Okay.
And pass it over.
Well, I've got it here. It's a proclamation naming Water Awareness Month, May 2016.
You guys don't want to hear a bunch of whereas.
So, could we have a motion?
I make a motion, we pass, it's a resolution?
It's a resolution, yeah.
Okay, resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember West? West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martirana?
Aye.
Mayor Edge?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the mayor passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
And it's signed.
All right.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Thanks.
You guys.
We did something fast, huh?
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if we could invite Dan Dodge from Assemblyman Leo's office forward here, he could add to the conversation, and then we can kind of highlight that we had strong support and we passed the resolution to approve it. And I'd like Dan to come forward here,
That
because
sounds
he's
good.
been very instrumental as a team leader in building the coalition.
Great. Hello there.
Good evening.
Hi, Dan.
Good evening.
Council members, Mayor,
Yeah, right.
thank you for allowing me to speak in front of a packed house this evening.
Yeah.
My name is Daniel Dodge. I'm a field representative for Luis Leo, the 30th Assembly District, and we're excited to hear that the resolution passed this evening in support.
Strong support.
Strong support.
Yes.
I was a council member in Watsonville. That never happened. No, we never used like that. So, but it's an exciting project. We're excited to be part of it. There is some things going on at the state level with the Park Service these days. A lot of the old way of them doing things. They're looking into creating some different alternatives. This is a very good time for us to have the dialogue. We would love to move forward and convene that dialogue with the state, whatever representatives, and I believe we should probably initiate the dialogue with the district superintendent here in the Monterey Bay Area first, and then see about moving forward with some public meetings so that we can get public input, so the public knows what's going on with that. The city of San Juan really takes care of. The state has a mandate for all fourth graders to be able to study the California missions. Your city has been played host to thousands and thousands of students and their families that come here every year. And I know that wears on your infrastructure. I mean, bus loads of people coming into the town and everything. You've helped support that over the many, many years. And we're excited. The Assembly Member's Office is excited to be able to talk about some new things and help the city along in its economic development plans and just maintaining the quality of life that's here. So however I can answer questions, I'll be in touch with the city manager and the mayor and city council members so that we can get on this dialogue sooner than later, so while the iron's hot, so to speak. So thank you for allowing me to address this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your help. Okay, we'll move to item 4D, proclamation for Fremont Peak Day. And
Georgiana.
do I have that? See, Georgiana, you were going to make a, oh, here we go. Did you want me to read this, Georgiana? Okay.
I had to read all mine.
Fremont Peak Day Proclamation, April 24, 2016. Whereas again, we are inspired to remember and to celebrate the unfurling of an American flag over El Nido del Gavilan in 1846 by the troops with Captain John Charles Fremont, the Pathfinder. And whereas it isn't just about the American flag flying on the peak in 1946, it's about us, those of us here today, standing together to celebrate the contributions we, now in 2016, do make for the better good of all. It's about the inspiration of the peak itself. It's about El Gavilan, the hawk, itself flying with eyes on the future. It's about the veterans we stand with and pledge our loyalty. It's about the comrades who are not here. It's about our scout troops up on the rocks saluting our flag. It's about the sisters who pray and play. It's about the park rangers who have helping hands and kind words. It's about the children who watch too and learn to march, to lead, to soar. It's about us, all, who stand to listen and to watch the American flag unfurl over green hills. It's about sharing today with citizens who volunteer for the better community good, no matter how many years we have come here, no matter what the weather, no matter what the road conditions, no matter what the size of the crowd, no matter what the length of the speeches, no matter how steep and hard the climb, no matter what. Whereas, as the bugle calls to us, we will hear the call of El Gavilan. We will remember all who took this path, and we will be with them again under the American flag on Fremont Peak. Now therefore be it resolved that April 24, 2016 is declared Fremont Peak Day by the City of History, San Juan Bautista in San Benito County, California.
Very nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you want to add anything to that? There's probably not much left to say, I guess.
Well, actually, the proclamation has taken a different angle. We've been talking so much about John C. Fremont, and I have to give credit to Luis Candelaria, who talked with me, and he said, you know, it's more about the hawk and what's going on today, and so we changed it.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, it did sound a little bit different from the usual. Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Are there activities surrounding the?
Day that we
yes.
can talk about?
We'd love to hear about
Valerie is the chairperson. Do you have anything to add?
Along with the VFW, they will have the barbecue as usual, free hot dogs and hamburgers, and the auxiliary are putting on the children's games this year. So we've done a little bit of a turnaround where the VFW has a little bit more involvement, and the Native Daughters has stepped back a little bit. So I think it's a very nice alternative, and that every year it moves a little differently, just like the proclamation. That sometimes there's more involvement, sometimes there's rain, sometimes there's sun, and sometimes, you know, the hot dogs are not that great. But
So, and where and when are these events happening?
this is on this Sunday, 11 o'clock till 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
But the flag is raised on the peak at noon. Bob Bouchard blows his horn, and
they're kind
we
of waiting
salute
and
the
not
flag.
hiding here.
And
Oh, okay.
the Boy Scouts usually take the flag and put it up.
Great. So the barbecue is happening up at the peak.
Yes, barbecue is hamburger and hot dogs. It's free to the public.
Great.
The park has a free day.
Yeah, they're both here.
Anyone who comes to barbecue, not to stay overnight, the park fee is waived by the state park. So it's a collaboration among all of us.
So 11 o'clock at Fremont Peak
Yes,
this
sir.
Sunday with the official flag raising at noon.
That's right.
Thank you.
Wow.
And shall I take the proclamation?
Yes, let me sign it for you. Oh, wait, did we vote on this?
We have not. I
Yeah.
don't think, have we?
We have to pass it before I can sign it.
I move that we approve the proclamation for Fremont Peak Day 2016.
Second.
Second, been moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Margarita?
Aye.
Mayor Ridge?
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Now, water awareness was number 21. Is this number 22? or
This is a
did they get numbered?
proclamation, it's not a resolution.
Not a resolution. Oh, okay, very good. I'll still sign it.
Good.
Here we go, Georgia, Valerie. Thank you so much.
She doesn't typically have.
Okay, great. Okay, can we skip ahead to the sheriff's report and the fire chief's report and then come back to
Certainly.
the monthly financial statements and the presentation on the brand? They might go longer. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay. So
We'll call
let's-
Rodney too. Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah, let's take the sheriff's report first.
You have farther to drive.
We're getting charged hours for it.
Good idea. We've got to change this.
Thanks for letting me be here. Captain Eric Taylor, Sheriff's Office, Mayor and Council. I'm mostly going to focus on March, but I also want to just capture the first quarter of the year, of the calendar year, as to what we've been doing. So just to reiterate, as I try to do each time, There's 168 contracted hours, or 170 in that area, of hours contracted per month. So in the month of March, we actually spent 245 hours in the city of San Bautista, logged actually in the city limits. We have sometimes, it's tedious to pull these stats out, and I'm sorry that I don't always get them to you sooner, but it's with our new records management system that's going to be coming out, it's going to be way easier. It'll be a click of a button and then it'll spit this stuff out. But right now it's all done by hand. So of the 245 hours that we spend in San Juan, 149 were actually patrol function. And I separated it out because each Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we post overtime to have a deputy assigned during 8 hours of the day just to be in San Juan. That way it's a presence here on the weekends and they don't leave the city unless it's something exigent. And an issue for us is that sometimes, like for traffic enforcement, they'll see a violation in the city limit, but they don't end up stopping until, Bixby or Lucy Brown or something like that, so it doesn't log that it was from inside the city. So I leave those out, but there is some enforcement that happens technically outside the city limit that originated in the city. So in March we did 47 traffic stops. We had 2 arrests and incidents for domestic violence. Served 3 arrest warrants. Understand when I talk about warrants, that's like we've contacted somebody and you check their name and they come back that they're wanted. It has nothing to do with us like going into a house or search warrant, stuff like that. We did 1 civil service. There was 1 reported robbery that when I got actually into it, it actually happened near the Monterey County line on Salinas Grade Road. But it was when the deputy entered it, they entered it in the city. So I apologize for that. That actually didn't happen here. We had 1 indecent exposure, 10 total arrests. 85 hours of the time that we were here was self-initiated. What I mean by that is that's actually foot patrol, area checks, security checks, things that they're not just driving around in circles doing nothing. They're actually taking time to get out of the car and do something on their own without being called to do it. And then 64 hours were response to actual calls for service. So 57% of the time that we were here in March, it was self-initiated proactive activity. And then just to capture for January and February, which is not on your report, but I wanted to go back for, like I said, for the first quarter. In January, we had 209 hours of patrol logged, 96 hours. It's always 96 hours of overtime per month. Excuse me, for a total of 315 hours. In February, we had 195 patrol hours, 96 overtime, for a total of 291 hours in the city. And so I think we're doing pretty well there as far as having a presence, and I hope it's being noticed or felt. And then, not as detailed as much as the March report, so from the first of the year, take the 1 robbery out from March, there were 2 other robberies reported in the city. One was on the 26th of January, and that was the Valero gas station. There was a robbery with a handgun. It's an active investigation, so I can't really get into it, but we're making some progress there. There was another one reported on the 21st of February on 4th Street. It's pretty, at this point, it looks like it's unfounded. There's a lot of discrepancies in the report, and I don't really think that it occurred the way the person said it occurred. Not to say that, but it's still a reported robbery. And it was a strong arm. It was a person got tackled to the ground and wrestled the car keys away from him. There were 3 burglaries in this quarter. 2 of them occurred over the same overnight hours on the 400 block of 3rd Street. They were discovered about 5 o'clock in the morning. Excuse me. One was a door kick and one was a window break. And then on the 7th of February, there was a vehicle burglary on the 700 block of 4th Street with a bunch of tools taken out of a toolbox in the back of the truck. No leads on that. As far as the warrant arrests, we had 9 total in the quarter. We had 2 in January, 3 in February, and 4 in March. And as far as area checks are concerned, we did 209 hours of area checks in January, 195 hours of area checks for self-initiated activity in February. And then for staffing special events, we spent 34 hours at special events in January, 56 hours in February. And I think that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much for the report.
Yeah, and I would encourage you again, if there's ever anything specific that you want to know about that you want me to address, because typically when I come, I'm just going to come and give you stats and kind of overall capture of what's going on. But if there's something, a specific problem that you want to address, that you want me to address, or projects that you want us to start, drug presentations, or anything like that that you want us to do above and beyond this to put on the agenda, we're more than happy to do it. Just reach out and we'll take care of it. Okay?
Great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. Any questions from the public on that report? Okay. Let's move on to the fire chief's report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. All right, I believe you guys have all been supplied with a copy of the report. I'll just give you a quick rundown since you got a packed house tonight. Ulster Fire Department, from March 1st to April 15th, we've run 429 calls for service in this service time. District 4 ran 43 calls, 9 accidents, 22 EMS, 12 others to include public assist and gas leaks. One of the interesting things we did run this last month was we had a structure fire in the Pinnacles. So sent a lot of equipment down there. Engine 14, I don't know if you're aware, was out for service. It's back in service as of April 7th. I don't have the exact dollar amount, how much was spent, but all the fluids were changed, filters were checked, brakes were checked, pump was tested. When I have a dollar amount, I'll supply you with that. Career development, I think I went over it last month, but we're preparing to start a reserve academy in May. And I know I've told you 15, we've had to push it back due to lack of equipment, but it looks like we've got a handle on it and we'll have that equipment here in time. Fire Marshal's office, department ran 76 inspections and 268 man hours. Most of that stuff was actually in the city of Hollister and in the county. And weed abatement, I think, isn't pertaining to San Juan Bautista. So, any questions? Any concerns?
Your reserve fire count is at 9?
Yes, it is at 9.
And that's for the entire county?
It's for the entire county. We've noticed since an uptick in the economy,
tougher.
It's getting tougher to retain them. They're getting full-time jobs and they're just unavailable for the response time that we need.
Sure.
We're trying to look at ways to remedy that, try different things. But so far we don't have an answer.
Great.
Sorry, I do have another question.
Yep.
Vehicle accidents 9, EMS 22. I was having a conversation with somebody from Caltrans, and they indicated that in over a 4-year period that there was 1 fatality along the stretch of 156 adjacent to the Alameda, and they had, I think, 3 vehicle injury reports in a 4-year period. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
No, there's a lot more than that.
Is there any way that you can help us compile some data, of like a 1-year snapshot or a 2-year snapshot?
Try to push Caltrans for road improvement?
I'm trying to get at factual information, and I'm concerned that wherever they're getting their reporting, doesn't sound accurate to me.
When we have a vehicle accident, we don't report the vehicle accident to Caltrans.
I understand.
CHP would be...
Well, this last weekend, Sunday afternoon, I heard a life flight helicopter land at the school, and I know that was an accident based on the app that I have, I forget what it's called.
Pulse Point.
Pulse Point. Pulse Point.
Yeah.
There were 2 calls, I think, out there for accidents on just this weekend.
There were, yeah. I was actually working one of them. One patient was pretty moderate to severe injuries. We had to fly him out. We used the soccer field as the landing port for the helicopter.
Yeah, and I don't know what the source for their data is, and I'm very skeptical.
I know there's been more than 1 fatality because I've been to more than 1 myself.
Okay, well, and so if there's anything that the department can do to help us with that, and I would say anything within the city limits out to, I don't know, Bixby Road or something that where we could pinpoint, but the focal point is at the intersection of the Alameda, but sometimes they get reported slightly off of that.
Yeah.
And so it would be helpful to capture maybe a little more area.
look and see if there's anything. I mean, we're only gonna have it for so many years in our system, but it's worth
If
a
we
look,
just
you know.
had like a 2-year comparative, it would help. Because what
Yeah.
they're saying is that traffic light and this stretch of highway is below the state average for accidents. That it's safer than average. And and maybe it is. I'd like to have some facts. I don't want it to be my anecdotal experience
The one that
versus
seems
his
a little more
anecdotal.
dangerous is the Monterey terminal.
Well, and that would be very helpful too.
You know,
That
I
would
haven't
be-
been to too many accidents at the Monterey on-ramp, but when they have been there,
They're
they've
bad.
been severe. Because you've got vehicles coming high speed and one trying to cross across all those lanes. Not as bad as the one in, you know, Aromas or Crudale, but obviously it's kind of similar in how it's set up.
Yeah.
Just not as busy.
So that would be very, very helpful to us
Okay,
because
we'll see what we can do with
it's not going to get better.
No, it's not.
And if we can be a little more proactive, we may be able to affect a change in the plans. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I'll see what I can do for you, Jim.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I guess that's it. Thank you. Any questions from the public? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll go back to item E, presentation by Kathy Schipper.
I'm obviously not Kathy Schipper.
Thank you, Bob.
But, I'm Bob Quaid. I'm the interim chair of the San Juan Committee. So I'm just introducing Kathy. So we, as a San Juan Committee, our task is to promote San Juan. And so as part of that, we contracted with Schipper Development to develop the brand of San Juan. And so preliminary, we selected a logo and our brand, so Kathy Schipper is going to present on that tonight. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kathy Schipper. And we're looking,
Thank you, Bob.
we're looking from the city to get feedback from the city on what we've selected and just your endorsement, because we hope this brand we're going to use it to promote San Juan, and we hope the entire community will use it also.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We got your letter also, which will refer to the budget process. So that's been received.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council, and thank you, San Juan Committee, too, for initiating this project and allowing us to be here tonight. Why don't you go ahead and just stand here. The presentations, I'm going to try to keep it around 15 minutes. I know what it's like to sit a long meeting, but I do think it's important. We've been working on the project since the middle of November, and I think it's important that we present it in the best possible way so that there's a complete understanding both of what was requested of us by the San Juan Committee, the process that we went through to arrive at where we're at today.
Shouldn't she be using her microphone?
So what we've been asked to do is actually create a destination brand, really pulling out of the community and the people of San Juan the best truths and attributes about living here and living in the city, and developing that into a organized group of words that we call a brand, and presenting that both visually in a logo and verbally in a tagline. Our objectives, go ahead and take each one, was to redefine and strengthen the city's competitive difference, to foster a more accurate, contemporary, and positive image, to provide a unifying and strategic guide on how we present ourselves, to generate improved results for tourism, investment, and business recruitment, and to stimulate pride in the city and a renewed sense of purpose. So I do want to remind, this is a marketing effort that we're about here, and it's about creating not defining an image and creating a way to communicate that to the public outside of San Juan Bautista. So close emotional ties exist between people and the places that they live, work, and visit. And we saw some of that tonight in the enthusiasm people have for this new project with downtown parks. We live here and we work here, and there's an emotional attachment to that. People visit here, some people visit over and over and over again. We all have our favorite places to visit, so think about those emotional attachments that you have. That's part of what we're drawing on tonight, well, in this whole process, to create this brand for the city. The biggest challenge that many places face, especially when they're working on a destination brand, is taking control of their identity and their reputation. There is an identity for San Juan, and it does have a reputation. It's hard to market something if you don't actually have some type of control about it. Like you're controlling what's said, you're controlling how it's presented. You're kind of working to promote it in the best light possible. So we don't want to just let it sit there. We want to actually begin to be more proactive about how we present the city. So how do we define brand? When we started this process, we actually got a question from someone in the community that thought it was rude to say we were branding the community because a brand belonged on the butt of a cow. So branding in this sense is actually trying to take what we already may know about a place and make it more visual and verbal and kind of sear it, if you will, to use that imagery in our minds to make it memorable and sticky. So I want to tell you what a brand is not. It's not a logo, although these are very popular logos. You know those companies just by looking at their logo. We did develop a logo, but a logo in and of itself does not constitute a brand. A brand is also not a product. These are probably some of the most popular products in the world today, but these products in and of themselves do not constitute a brand. A brand is the promise that you receive from either the company, the service, the product. It's the big idea. It's the reason we part with our cash for it. It's the expectation we have once we own it. It is truly something we feel inside ourselves and believe in our minds. People fall in love with brands. They trust them. Think about when Coke tried to change their formula and what that did to the public in general. People were crazy. They didn't want it. They didn't want this change. People develop strong loyalties to brands. They buy them and they believe in their superiority. So, depending on who you are, whether you're Starbucks or FedEx or Google or the City of Hollister, we all have something in our mind when I mention those words. Either you felt like you trusted that brand, or you felt like maybe it's a company or a service you don't trust. In today's world, in marketing, everything is about that level of trust. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people vying for our attention. Every day we're inundated with lots and lots of messages. So we have to somehow begin to filter through that and determine what we believe is good for us and good for the purchase we're about to make or the service we're about to engage in versus what might not be something best for us. And we are influenced by how that company presents themselves to us. There's Zappos online that we buy our shoes from. I do anyway. And they have really changed how online sales approaches customer service, and they're known for that, and it's a big part of their brand. So we try to take the things that are true and then put that out there. Not something that's not authentic, but something that is authentic, and put it out there for the public to experience, and then that begins to develop an image for a brand in someone's mind. A brand is not what you say it is. It's like it would be wrong for one individual to come up with a brand for the city of San Juan Bautista. It's not what one person says it is. A brand is actually what they say it is, what the general public says it is. So companies in today's world work really hard at trying to put forth the best things, the best pieces of those companies, who they are, how they service, what type of products they sell, the qualities, the benefits, everything that's good about those products, truthful, good, and something you can rely on. And then they communicate that to the public at large, and then we either believe it or we don't, right? We either believe it because we're using the product and we think they're right, or we've used it, had a bad experience, and we don't believe it anymore. We don't buy it again. So a brand isn't just what exists by what you say, it actually exists in the customer's mind. So our customers for San Juan Bautista not only are the people in this room, people that live here, people in the county, they're also the visitors and the tourists that come here. So in order for any of us to begin to feel like we can, as business people, market the city, as people engaged in service clubs, being able to participate in communicating how the city functions, or the joy, or the experience of being here, all of that is kind of done independently now. The effort here in creating a marketing brand is to kind of bring all of that together and solidify the message that we go forth with out, either in how we, even today when the people from La Posada were here, they were talking about being on the Travel Channel, giving them our brand brief, which we did earlier in the month because we knew they were coming, helps us communicate to that group from the Travel Channel who we are, what we do, what the city's about in a more coordinated way. So we can't create something out of nothing and still have people believe it. So the first phase of the branding effort was to start with a survey. And we printed surveys in the Mission Village Voice. We printed surveys on paper and had them available at the bakery where we have the Welcome Center. Excuse my mic for a minute. And we also set up an online survey that people could go to and respond to online. So this is, I actually have our surveys here. So we got 137 unique surveys back with a lot of information. It was absolutely wonderful to receive this much input from so many different people. The point of the survey was to help us understand or define who we are, how visitors view us, why it matters to people, and what we will build to create an authentic brand. So here's a look at the statistics from the survey. We had 137 people complete the survey. Not everyone answered where they were from, but out of those that did, 62 people were from San Juan Bautista, 31 people were county residents, and 31 identified themselves as visitors. And then out of the 62 people from San Juan Bautista, 18 of them identified themselves as a community leader. Another 18 identified themselves as business owners. 8 identified as historic society members. 7 as service club members, and 5 as civic leaders. Not everyone that answered told us how they identified themselves, but those that did, that's how they broke out. So in the survey, there were multiple different places where we asked people to either identify what they thought was the main attraction to the city, what was the second main attraction to the city, and we specifically asked that question because we could anticipate what people thought was the main attraction. We also asked in a variety of different ways to identify what they thought was the city promised. What would you tell a family member visiting you would be the most important thing to go see? What would you promise someone if they came here that they could enjoy for the day? We asked it in a number of different ways so that we could kind of see how people responded, both looking at it from how we rank the mission, say, to What if someone's visited us 10 times and they've already been to the mission several times? What else is there for them to do? So this is how the survey results came in terms of considering the main benefits and attractions of the city. So 132 people cited the mission as the main attraction or reason to either visit or the main thing that is historical about the city. The second one, 78 people said in one way or another that coming to San Juan Bautista was a time for them to relax, to kick back, to slow down, to get away from the hubbub of the city. And they honestly said it in so many different ways. Then the third one was the historic downtown, 63 people. Restaurants, 61 people. Although, I will say, we had in almost every single survey, I can tell you, we read every word of them. People said, we need more restaurants in town. So if anyone's itching to open a restaurant, everyone seems to think there needs to be more. State parks was next with 55 comments about the state parks being either the first or the second attraction in town. Shopping, 24, and antique shops, 18 people listed that. Festivals, outdoor, the chickens got quite a few comments. Walking, El Teatro got several comments. The size of the town, the fact that it's a small town, that it's quaint. California history, the weather was listed many times. The people and how friendly people are was listed many times. Farmland and art galleries. So there isn't anything there that you are surprised by, I'm sure. But it's nice to see that people notice these same things that we all cherish and hold dear. So here's a few quotes from the surveys. An authentic and historic town, a hidden treasure, far from the maddening crowd, frozen in time, takes you back to good old days where the pace is slower, yet the sensory reward is richer. People are really friendly. The scenery is wonderful and the mission area is amazing. Also, it's nice that the area around is really untouched. Good to get away from the hustle and bustle of the Silicon Valley. It's everything California. Weather, history, quirky, and authentic. So after we sifted through these 137 responses, collated the information, we actually read them more than once. We had then entered into phase 2 of the process, which was creating the brand brief. We brought the brand brief with us tonight, and I'm going to take a few moments and read you some of what we settled on as being the brand that describes who we are and what we do and why it matters to people. So we are suggesting and recommending that we keep the City of History as our city motto. There isn't any reason to change that. It's something that is a definite part of the depth and breadth of our city. We would see this used on letterhead, business cards, flyers that went out from the city. It's not what we're calling our marketing tagline or our marketing slogan, but we are suggesting that the city maintain the City of History as its motto or slogan. So the brand, this is the first statement is how we define ourselves or who we are. There's a few sentences here. I tried to break them apart on different slides. But we're saying that San Juan Bautista is a unique village alive with early California history and home to one of the most authentic, picturesque, and pristine missions along the California Mission Trail. A deep commitment to preservation has endowed the city with historic authenticity, including a nationally registered historic district, a main street lined with buildings straight out of the Old West, and original adobes dating back 2 centuries. By embracing multicultural performing arts and artists, festivals, and street fairs, the community celebrates the entertainment year-round. Surrounded on all sides by untouched hillsides, organic fields, and natural habitats, the call to nature and the rustic outdoors complements every experience. So that paragraph summarizes who we are. And then we take a look at a marketing and a positioning statement that is strictly about how we position ourselves to people outside of us. So for residents, visitors, and tourists, San Juan Bautista offers a meaningful experience in early California setting. Detached from the pressures of our modern world, the friendly people, slower pace of life, rustic original architecture, and exceptional weather combine to lift your spirit. So this positioning statement here is really about advertising or marketing. You might see it on an ad, or you might see it as just the starting point for something that might get emailed, or something that's pushed out to the public. It's one short statement, 2 sentences. We also wrote guiding values. And again, I want to reiterate that all of this was definitely inspired or drawn from the surveys that we received. Our community of diverse residents stands by the belief that the wonder of San Juan Bautista lies in a commitment to a slower way of life, a kind attitude to everyday encounters, and a devotion to preserving the beauty and heritage of our historical foundation. The simple life is embraced with deep respect in the most conscious environment possible. And then we developed the key messages. And these key messages will be repeated over and over as we begin to establish marketing efforts for the city. Authentic historical charm. We know that we are a historical city. We know that what we have here is very unique and authentic because of the past, because of the efforts of people from the past that have kept it that way. And every other survey said charming somewhere. So a generous spirit of kindness was another term that was repeated over and over in the surveys about how nice how nice people are to the public, to visitors, to tourists, how embracing they are. Slow down and enjoy life. A slower pace of life that isn't part of what we consider normal in our modern world. And the heart and epicenter of California. That San Juan Bautista really is not only if you put the pin in it and you look at it on a map, but truly a spot of early California and the center of what is everything that is California. So then we developed what we're calling the Grand Promise, or our tagline. Something that any person visiting here, anyone that lives here, anyone engaged in a multitude of activities can relate to, we hope, and that is lift your spirit. So to us, the lift your spirit really encompassed not only the goosebumps you get when you're walking around the mission, the understanding that you receive when you think about the Native Americans that were here first, but the essence of hiking up the Diaza Trail, being up on Fremont's Peak and looking through the microscope at the observatory, being downtown, having a great meal at Ardene's and Tony Esther's, just strolling and walking around town. Lift your spirit is something that we know as a marketing agency we can promise, and people will definitely receive it when they come here. It's not an unkept promise. It's not an empty promise. It's something that can be fulfilled in many, many ways. So as a marketing tagline, we believe that lift your spirit captures the essence of what's authentic and true about living and visiting in San Juan. And then phase 3 was the development of the logo. So I'll share with you some of the process we went through in developing the logo for the September. So first we did our research. We went out and we took a look mainly here in our general area of other logos, especially if they had a mission in them. How are those logos either showing the mission that it represents, the mission bells, the crosses on missions? We just did an extensive level of research about either cities that also have a mission, areas in California that are noted for missions. And then we took what we gathered here and we started a level of discernment about, you know, how do we then make the logo for San Juan Bautista? How do we push it towards something that's representative of the city, but also still unique and not something that would blend in and look like it could be any mission town anywhere in California. We also researched our city, San Juan Bautista. We walked around, we took pictures. This is a small portion of the research we gathered from just being in town. We looked at signage, we looked at pieces of the illustrations inside the mission and inside the building and outside the building. We looked at the color palette in town, and we began to take all that information and synthesize it into our process of exploring what we might do to create the logo. And then we started sketching and drawing, trying different ways of looking at both how the mission's represented or how the typography for San Juan Bautista would be represented, or, you know, echoing some of the signage that's on other buildings. And then finally we came up with 7 unique logos that we presented to the San Juan Committee. During the San Juan Committee had the logos for about 2 weeks, or a month. We showed them at one meeting and then we came back and discussed them at a second meeting. During the second meeting, everyone collaborated, discussed, voted, discussed more, boiled it down to a few, and then boiled it down to one. Does anybody from the committee want to share anything on that process? Or?
No, we did collaborate and boil it down and come back.
So some of the factors that came up before we revealed the logo was, is it forward thinking? We all know that this is a city of history and that we have a lot to draw from in terms of our heritage, and the look and feel is something from the past. You know, how then do we take that into the future? Do we want it to be something that looks like it belongs in the past, or something that looks like it's a part of our future? We also deliberated about the position of how much of the mission do we include in the logo. I think it was Vanda that mentioned an area in town in Southern California that has had to remove the cross off of their city logo that was on a mission because of political reasons. San Diego.
That was the LA County seal.
LA County seal. So we talked about that a lot too, whether or not we have a holistic image of the mission on the logo, whether that was advantageous or not. We talked about colors, we talked about typography, and we really ended up in unison agreeing on this logo here.
Nice.
So to us, this logo captures the essence of the mission. The shape that we're using actually is part of the artwork that's painted along the entire ceiling of the mission. And we felt that the typography was strong and that it can be easily read from any distance, and that it's historic in its nature, but just modern enough to look like it's part of our world today and has that type of strength to carry into the future. So let's take a look at how it gets applied. When you put the tagline with it, or the brand promise, lift your spirit. We also can see it on a hat. The one up in the upper corner is what it would look like if it had to be printed in black and white. And then finally, we placed it on some of the photos from our area. So the downtown, a view from Fremont's Peak, and of course the mission. That's the results of our effort and work and collaboration. So I guess we can take some questions or comments or.
Jesus. Very cool.
Want to take comments or?
Yeah, I'll have questions or comments.
Well,
Any questions?
no questions. I will say that when I moved here about 3 years ago and moved in next door to Richard Ponce, and immediately got sucked into conversations about things around like this, and fairly soon thereafter got recruited into a meeting to discuss logos and branding. I was frightened that it was 6 or 8 people from around town talking about what fonts they liked and these cutesy this and that, and it was pretty, but it wasn't functional. This is functional. This has a purpose. This is what we need to go out and broadcast our message to the world around us, and I'm very, very, very excited and thankful. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have the color palette? Oh, we didn't get it. We do have the color palette. Okay.
Well.
They showed us a color palette that I would love to see the planning commission adopt, of some kind of color palette, because people don't know what colors they can use downtown, and rather than having to take the time to go through the historic versus border plan, they could see what options there are and make that decision wisely.
Great. Just come on up.
Any questions or comments from the public?
Looks like.
Is the speaker card on this subject? Is it? Okay.
Nice. Sorry.
First of all, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
It's going to come out great on our letterhead. Can I ask you though, is this something that businesses can put somewhere on our letterhead as far as lift your spirits? Okay, so we want to be able to say, come to Zonia Stairs and lift your spirits.
I think that's our
That's the whole idea. Hopefully we get the businesses, the city, community to buy into, so we have
So we're the city of history, come to San Juan to lift your spirits.
a unified approach to get people to come to
Awesome, awesome.
And to be saying the same thing, so
Awesome.
that people hear it multiple different ways.
Awesome.
To add to that, when we have the street fairs in town, if we can get those people to use this too, their advertisement, that's all. The more we get this out there, the more people will get the brand burned in their mind and say, oh yeah, San Juan Bautista, I need to go there and lift my spirits.
Right. I'm not sure about the teal color there.
Thank you.
I like everything that's there so far.
Thank
I'm
you.
only saying teal because I'm not sure how it goes with my red, green, black.
We'll help you.
Just to answer the question about the teal, it is inspired from the Doors of the Mission.
Okay.
Ah, yes. That's right.
And the color palette that we have, which I apologize for not having in here, but it does have the colors of, especially the outside of the ministers, the terracotta.
Cool.
And then, of course, you know, I just wanted to say that this is something, we're leaving a legacy. You know, we want to be able to, and of course now I'm going to speak for my dad, because this is all part of your guys' legacy. And I'm just hoping that whatever we decide on, that it's something that we can all be happy about and consider it something that is great for San Juan, but that we have to remember that it is our legacy.
Yes.
It's our legacy.
Really important.
Al is on the committee. This was actually Al's first choice.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you going to copyright all this stuff?
Yes, yes.
Because I don't want to get in the position like Hollister is.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
We talked about that.
Okay.
So it's going to be a licensed trademark?
Yes.
That'll be shareable?
Yes.
Okay, we have another.
Some preliminary research on Lift Your Spirit. We didn't find it as a tagline for anything. So we do have to do a deeper search on that. But across city industry, we didn't see it.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, we have another speaker card.
Jolene Cosio?
Let me take Jolene first because she's already turned in a speaker card. Thank you.
Should I sit down or?
Just stand.
No, you can stay there.
I want to know why Tammy left her empty Coke glass there.
Advertising.
They get to go to Warriors games when I don't get to go. They're like that, I hear. She didn't even hear me. I heard she went to 2 Warriors games. I don't know. Anyway, it's fantastic. It looks great. We are the city of history. All that. And all the work that you guys did on this, I think it's come out very nice. I do have one comment, because when I was on council, we passed a resolution that we would like to still be called the City of History, but add to that in some of our things about being a green city and looking towards the future. And I don't think there was anything on your questionnaire about, is it important to you that San Juan have solar or you know, low water use landscapes or that kind of thing. And I hate to see these things just forgotten about when we pass a resolution that we're not only the city of history, we are the city of history and will always be the city of history, I think. But we are also a green city looking toward the future. And if you want that resolution, I'm sure Trish or Connie or somebody can get that for you in case you want to include anything
It could be
about.
included in some of that messaging.
I love the Lift the Spirit tagline. That's very good. Or lift your spirits.
Lift your spirit. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes,
Sorry, thank you.
you bet.
My name is John McCormick. I just wanted to chime in here. Nice job. I just thought that the use of epicenter, I wondered if that was tongue-in-cheek there.
That is.
It's still up for debate.
It's part of. It's just you know, just like lift your spirit. You can use that in several different ways too. Daisies may say, "Come lift your spirit."
That's right.
I thought it was a toast.
It's just part of, you know, it's just part of advertising
Yeah.
to some degree, promoting San Juan.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have to see how we're going to use that at the center.
That's what Al thought you were talking about. That's what he thought it meant.
Yeah, we kind of came up with the epicenter thought as we were developing key messages, and everybody thought it was key messages, and then we are thinking about how that can be utilized in other ways, so.
Good job, Kathy.
Thank you. Okay.
So that's it for comments?
Well, like
No more
Savannah
comments?
said, you have to look out the window. You have to look out the window.
Well, the next phase is to get things trademarked and do it properly. And then we haven't actually discussed how to disseminate it and get the information, or get either the logo or the tagline out to the people. And we do want to develop some brand guidelines, usage guidelines, so that people aren't putting it on something and stretching it and skewing it. It has to be handled the same way in everything, every place that it's used. That has to come next. There are plans with the committee to begin now looking at what the next phase is for implementation and usage.
We're doing, when's the trade show for
May 3rd.
So next month, we're going to the Santa Clara Convention Bureau Center to trade show. An expo, and we're going to hopefully use it to promote San Juan, to try to bring the Silicon Valley folks down to San Juan. And just like with the travel channel that's here in town, we use some of this information to give to the travel channel. So hopefully that will get out on the travel network when they do the show. Was it Hotel
Impossible.
Hotel Impossible is the show that they're doing here in town. So it's like one of those, you ever see Restaurant Impossible? Where they go in the restaurant or hotel that's not doing well, they come in and fix it up within 2 or 3 days. Well, that's what's in town right now.
Oh, okay.
So we're hoping to get some exposure from that with some of this information too. So that's the whole purpose. And you got our letter. I guess Roger shared the letter. I just mailed the one to the mayor today, but I guess Roger's got his hand delivered, so sure. So that's what
He's more important than I am.
we're asking for additional funds from the city to help us promote San Juan to the outside using this information.
Right.
That's, we have to see how.
We need to make ad templates, we need to make Word documents so people, if they don't have graphic design programs, they can still use Microsoft Word and be able to create a flyer. There's things that we want it to be as accessible as possible, easy to use, and we still want to hopefully hold on to it tight enough so that it doesn't get distorted, overused, things like that. So there'll be some.
I'm going to use this in my ad for the cemetery.
Very nice presentation. Thank you very much. Is there any other comments?
And thank you, Ken, for my
Technical support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to monthly financial statements. Did
Is there
Chuck
a game
leave?
on?
Oh, okay.
Did you leave for the game?
I guess he
Roger, you
left.
want to summarize the report?
Yeah, just to kind of recap, again, we've been kind of watching our revenues. In the general fund, we're looking pretty good, but the enterprise fund is always critical.
We've continued the meeting, folks. Go ahead,
Give them a few minutes to come on. But the enterprise fund is always tricky because it's tied to the revenues from both the water and the sewer. And we're finding the water conservation, we're still down a little bit of the revenue. And so I intentionally kind of cut back on a lot of the programs and try to watch the expenditures, and you'll see in the revenue that we're a positive balance of about $115,000 in the enterprise account, just because we're watching our expenditures, because we know the revenues are still down. So
I noticed you got all the warrants on one page, so that's
yes,
you're spending less money.
Yes. And with regard to the general fund, I think we profile that we've paid off paybacks, and we've got a lump sum of $400,000 that we don't have it sitting here, but we can accrue it and count on it it's sitting up at Wells Fargo, and when we get going with the pellet plant, then we can have the drawdown on that.
Okay, good. Any questions?
No.
Any questions from the public on that report? Okay, we'll move on to
the warrant list. Earthquake sales.
Yeah, that was a rental of our hydrovac machinery that we use. We've been using it for the last 16 months.
Gotcha.
At the sewer treatment plant to take some of that sludge out, and then occasionally we run it down into the city right before the rains come.
Sure.
And suck all of the gravel and everything out of the catch basins.
Gotcha.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to library report. Any questions on that?
No.
Any questions from the public on the library report? No? Okay. Move on, administrative report. Roger?
Again, the Public Works crew's been working. We finished the Baruti Park, and I would encourage people to go down there. We've got everything done, and with the help of the Rotary Club and Service Club and Sonora Vasquez, she did a remarkable job of pulling all the volunteers together. And we want to thank Grant Rock for the very nice donation of the aggregate and base that we put down below the rubber base that came out real nice. So in there we have some other programs that we're going to get. Sonora's kind of touch base with me, and we're going to keep going at it. One of the critical issues that we found is that the vandals ransacked our portable potty that we had, the handicap one. And the company withdrew it because there was so much vandalism, and they were just mutilating it almost every weekend. So we haven't had a porta potty in there for about the last 3 weeks. But Trish has been on the phone, and we've made contact for another one to be presented. But in the meantime, I've finished the design for the permanent restroom there. We've got the sewer line in and everything, so we're going to be probably digging and bringing in the electrical and the water, and then we will, I've got the plans, and I think I'll go out and get some quotes for pouring the slab and then framing it and stuff like that. The most expensive part of the whole thing is the toilet fixtures are stainless steel, and they're the wall hung, and it would be similar to what you would find in a prison. It's very durable, indestructible, and everything, and so we've got to create that almost indestructible mechanism in the thing, and so it was a work in progress, but I think we'll get it done, and so I'd like to see if we could schedule that and get it incorporated in the budget and get it done this summer.
Sounds good.
Yes, right. In the planning, weed abatement, I've indicated earlier, the notices have gone out, and we've also instructed our public works to, we have to be good stewards of our own property before we can cast aspersions on the property owners. So we want to make sure that all of our sites are disked and weed abated properly before we start turning up the heat on some of the property owners. The water well, just to let you know, I have Lauren Lyons from the State Water Division coming over this Friday. We're going to meet about 9 o'clock out at the well number 2. She's going to take a look at our well number 4 site as well as number 5 site, and potentially maybe a well site number 6. We want to explore as many options as we can, and if we get the go ahead with that, then we'll be finishing developing the specifications and the details for our various wells and submit them there for the permit, so then we can get ready to drill. The last part is that over the last month and a half, I've given you some ideas of some of the asphalt overlays and Cape Seal projects that I felt were important, and we wanted to get going on these this summer, and I've listed these, and I'd like your input on it, look at it, and I certainly would recommend that you show me what your interests are and everything. There's a lot of streets that are in dire needs, but this go around here, I was really looking at the effort to take streets that were paved maybe 10 to 15 years ago and they're starting to deteriorate. See if we can Cape seal those so that we can get 15 to 25 years out of them.
Is Cape Seal the same thing as oil and screen?
Not quite, but it's a slurry sand seal with emulsion asphalt, you know.
Oh, okay.
And where the chip seal is an emulsion oil, and then they'll put chips on it, and then they'll be embedded into the oil. It's a thicker emulsion, you know, and stuff like that.
So the Cape Seal is actually a sealant where you seal the cracks?
Yes, right.
Is that what you did on Monterey Street?
Yes, we had done it on 2nd and Monterey Street here. And I think storm drain, I think we've highlighted there. We started to take the trees out and grade the thing. We've got some steel planks to come in to cross over the creek. And once we get to that point there, we'll knock on the door, and then we'll tear the fence down and put up the chain link fence or some barrier there. And then we can start moving in the excavator and start excavating the trench. So I isolated about 38 different individual tasks that the public works crews have to accomplish to get this thing done. It's quite comprehensive, you know.
Were they correct in that the Caltrans was going to cover all the costs?
Well, that's what she said, but that's not the story that I hear. But you know, but we're working great with Caltrans, and they've been very cooperative. So. Yeah. Let's see.
It's probably going to be no cost to them, but that doesn't mean no cost to the city.
Yes. And the street lamp pole that was knocked down at the corner of Washington, 3rd Street, you know, we've had a difficult time finding one that's very replicable of what's there. We finally found one that comes out of New York, and so we've issued the purchase order, and so it's now being shipped. It'll take about 4 weeks to get out here.
Is there a responsible party for that?
But it's the base is almost identical. And it's a fluted pole and stuff like that.
About how much are they?
They're going to run right around $3,500.
Okay. I asked because my business partner lives in a very nice neighborhood in PG, and they're replacing 42 light poles at the cost of $750,000.
Yeah.
Like, that's completely insane.
Insane, yeah, right. In downtown here, we have 28, and a lot of them were volunteers and donated the things and everything. And that company has went out of business, and we found a company that replicates the ones and everything, and we're going to be there. I also let them know that we're interested in getting on their list so that we can continue our extension of the Alameda towards Nyland and 4th Street intersection to where we can have those all going all the way down.
Good.
That'll be in there, so.
Good.
Do we have a responsible party for that light?
Yes, yeah, that will. This one here will be covered by their insurance carrier. We turned it in. Yeah. And let's see, our volunteer members, the ones there, they've done a remarkable job to step forward, and I think they're going to assist us in getting the volunteer sign back up on the firehouse, and with an additional logo of the Serica 1868, which was 1 year before we became incorporated, as well as the Eagle Hook and Ladder Company, which is the orange one. And then the last one is the security update and everything. We're getting some RFPs back and feedback. I've been in contact with First Alarm and one other firm that's up in the Bay Area, and we're getting some quotes from them, you know. And I just kind of outlined a couple ideas that I had, but we certainly want the input from the council, you know. I think most of our burglaries and thefts and crimes occur, you know, after that 11 o'clock until about 5 in the morning, you know.
You skipped over the stop sign.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the stop sign there. Yeah, we're looking very hard at relocating that stop sign at the corner of the Alameda and Pierce to the Alameda and Franklin Street. Okay, the southbound traffic going in 3rd Street we can put a stop sign there and it's visible, but the northbound, the curb is about 18 feet off of the travel lane, and so I have to either restripe it and bring the traffic over to see it, or put some type of a curbing out there and then bring the stop sign further out there. And I have 2 or 3 different things, and I'll bring that back to you and have you look at it, as well as our Planning Commission and Historical Resources Board, because to get it out there and then have them see it, obviously we're going to put the crosswalks in and everything to so that they'll know it's stopped and everything, but it's the visibility that creates the obstacle. In addition to that, we're thinking very seriously of looking at going to some one-way streets on Franklin Street that'll make the circulation a little bit better.
You don't think that that stop sign at Pierce slows them down?
Well,
I mean, some of these people come sailing off the highway and they're doing 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Going past.
And it's funny because the speed limit in front of the school is 25, but then come along at Pierce, it dropped down to 15.
Right.
You know, and that seems odd, but I like the 15 mile an hour because we put the additional signs up.
It's a little narrow.
I got a question for you. Do you have to get permission from anybody to put in, what we're thinking about is going over to Watsonville on 129, they're doing work there, and they put these rumble strips, they call, they look like they're about maybe 6 inches wide and 1.5 inches, 2 inches high, and
get your
I mean, it's, you know, it's like a speed bump, but those are just temporary, I'm sure, they just nail them down. Do you have to have permission from anybody to put those down?
Yeah, you have to have the permission, and they have to be done according to Caltrans standard, because there's a liability if you get them too much to there and the people lose control of their car. There could be a liability. So there's a standard in the Caltrans manual for that.
Well, that's what made me think about it, because that's Caltrans is doing the work out there.
Yeah.
So
They're not doing the actual work.
well, there's a lot of Caltrans guys standing around.
Those are not, they're strictly portable. I commute out 129 every day, and I've watched them putting them out, and they just drag them out of the back of the truck, flop it down, and unfold
Well, they don't
it.
leave them out overnight.
No, they do not. That stop sign, I to your point, I think that bringing the stop up to Franklin, that's where we're getting. We have a lot more pedestrian traffic at Franklin, and that's where this came from, was the couple of the downtown merchants asking. And I can tell you that the weekend of the fair 2 weekends ago, when I walked downtown, I probably had 8 downtown merchants ask me about that, because
Can we have 2?
Talked about it.
Can we have 2?
No.
No, I don't have any problem with it.
I think that the move makes sense to
You
me.
stop
but-
every block? You kidding?
And the other aspect
it makes
is coming out of Franklin Street on the east side,
it's very difficult.
in front of Donna Esther's, is the curb's not marked, and people park right up to the return, and you can't see, so you got to creep out there, and it gets a little bit dangerous. And I think what we're going to do is extend the red zone there so that cars won't park there, and the sight distance is a little safer. Even though I've encouraged 15 miles an hour throughout the whole 3rd Street, keep it slowing down.
That little red zone in front of Dunya's becomes a takeout stop for a lot of people.
Yeah, right,
I think a stop sign at that intersection would help traffic coming from, say, the area of the bakery.
Yes.
Yeah.
And heading out of town. It'll slow that traffic
And
down.
people-
I agree.
Right
People
there.
stop almost automatically at Franklin and 3rd. You know, I mean, and to get the truck out of there, you gotta get out to where you get hit before you can see.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the one way of Franklin.
Yeah.
I mean, I parked my dually pickup out there, and the guy parks a truck across the way. You cannot. I mean, it's tight for one car.
Yeah.
So
You got enough cement to park off the street.
The other,
We should annex that driveway for parking.
you have.
It's going to be one way, the other way. You're going to have to park on the other side of the street now.
Yeah, we're going to do it north.
We'll be working on that, and I'll bring that back.
Great.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rutger. Any questions?
Comment on the project.
Okay.
It sounds like a real good idea to move the stop sign down to Franklin. And what I've always thought was another great idea that the city could do to slow traffic down without putting stop signs everywhere is those really large crosswalks that are raised.
Yeah.
And those slow traffic down, and you've got 2 crosswalks in the area you're talking about anyway. One by the school and another one right there just past Pierce, I believe. So if we made an effort, maybe we could work with Granite Rock, to put a bunch of raised crosswalks in. And I don't see the Historical Society and people like that who get upset about yellow bumps and this kind of thing, getting upset about those raised crosswalks, because they simply have the white bars going across, and I'm sure you've all seen them.
Yeah.
And they're raised and they're very large, so it's not a problem for hot rods to get over, which is very important, and Corvettes and stuff. Because you just go up a little and then you go, it's almost a car length wide, a lot of them. And then you go down, and I think they would slow traffic down there and then have the stop sign like you're talking about at Franklin only. Is a great idea. And then the other question I had for you, Roger, was the RFPs. I didn't quite hear what you said. You've got something that's already gone out to some of the security companies, and you've already gotten some...
The draft has gone out, and getting feedback from them so that we will develop one, yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Was that the only comment? That's it? Okay. Okay, we'll move to item K, public meeting reports. And Eric is not here? I remembered to call on him this time. I always forget to add him into our list.
Tonight.
Okay, so, all right, well, at least I'm getting with the program. Chris, you want to start off? Did you have any meetings?
Intergovernmental, we've been going through a series of, they basically asked each jurisdiction to do a planning report. So the city of Hollister presented all of their planning projects sort of on the boards, on the books, a little bit of a forward view, what they anticipated coming through for planning projects. The county did the same thing. I made a presentation for the city, for our city, in the hopes of fostering collaboration and discussion and understanding about infrastructure and where there may be impacts, at different points. I will say that the new planning director, actually I'm not sure what his title is, Mr. Barnes, is the resource, pardon me?
Resource manager.
Resource manager, which is, in essence, heads the planning for the county, I think.
Planning and Public Works.
He's got 3 agencies under him. Brent.
So, right, exactly, Brent Barnes. And he made I thought, an excellent presentation that stepped back a little bit from the specifics of what they had working and talked a little bit about some more, I guess you'd say, more modern theory on the subject. And I thought there may be value in getting those presentation materials and distributing it to everybody here, or potentially having him come and talk at a meeting. I personally found it very enlightening, very interesting. Talking about alternatives and how to implement alternatives to simply widening streets everywhere. I found it very informative.
Good. If there's anything that you want to get and pass on to us.
I've talked to him about it.
Yeah, okay. Tony?
I believe we're going to address the strategic plan committee as well.
Good. The COG meeting is Thursday.
Thursday, okay, coming up, okay. I have a LAFCO meeting next week. We had one this past month, but nothing relating to San Juan on that. Robert?
Monterey Bay Air, nothing pertaining to San Juan. That was all I had this month.
That was it, okay. Jim?
Just, Sean Novak just gave it all from the water thing, and
yeah. Just once a year.
Yes, you did.
Okay, great.
And I appreciate that, thank you.
Oh, we have a separate item, report by Neighborhood Watch. They didn't trust me to remember. Okay. Wise. All right, public hearings, 5A. Consider adoption of ordinance 2016-23? 03. Oh, wait, we don't number it until
It's an ordinance, not a resolution.
It's an ordinance, not a resolution.
The ordinances are much smaller in number yet.
No, are we adopting? We
Yeah,
had the
this
first
is-
reading already,
This was
right?
introduction, and there, tonight is the consideration for the adoption.
So
But
we
this
do
is-
give it a number this
Yeah,
time?
we give it a
Okay.
number. Is it 23?
It's 03.
03.
yeah.
Okay, for the pre-zoning of 13.3 acres of land situated on the north side of San Juan Hollister Road, 300 feet east of Salinas Grade Road to low-density residential R1, APN 012-13-012, 021, 023, and 031. Applicant Kathleen Manning. Roger?
Yeah, this is just a follow-up of the 13.3 acres that's along the north side of the San Juan Hollister Road, directly east of the Hacienda de Al Motel, and directly west of the Mission RV Park and everything. This was designated in the general plan as R1. The old zoning was a commercial zoning. It was done back in 1988, 1998, everything. This general plan designated as R1, single-family residential, and the owner is annexing it and then bringing it in as a pre-zoning for R1, single-family residential structure.
Good, thank you. Any questions?
This has
Okay.
to go to LAFCO now? Or-
Yes.
After, if we approve.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience?
I submitted a card.
Do you have a speaker card? Oh, okay.
John McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Cara Bonk, 609 3rd Street. And I'm here to address the barn. It seems to me that it would be premature to pre-zone the parcel that has the barn on it to R1, since this is a commercial structure and possibly of historic interest. In the San Benito County 2003 Historic Resources Survey, under the heading San Juan Bautista, they do mention two barns adjacent to Highway 156. So one presumably would be the Nyland Bull Barn, and the other one would be this one. So it's my view that as the lead agency under CEQA, the city of San Juan Bautista must hire an architectural historian, paid for by the developer, of course, to prepare a detailed study to identify the development's impact on cultural resources. And this particular structure is obviously over 50 years old, and it appears to be of historical interest. And we've been talking about City of History. You know, this is a significant structure, very visible. So the architectural historian would research the barn's history for us. It would assess its condition, and it would make various recommendations to assist the city in making the right decision. If it's found to be historical, and we don't know if it is until the architectural historian does the study and research, if it's found to be historical, then alternatives might be suggested. Maybe it's too far gone, and the recommendation would be to demolish it. Or there might be a recommendation to move it, and apparently the current owner is interested or has a option to remove it. But moving a historic structure usually does not comply with the Secretary of the Interior standards because you're changing the context. Or perhaps it could be restored to some alternative use. It's very visible from 156. It would make a great farmer's market, showcase the county's organic produce. It's easily accessible from Highway 156. Or it could be a conference center for the Leal Hotel adjacent. I mean, I'm just throwing this out here. It would be up to the architectural historian to actually make the report and make these recommendations to you. There's easy Highway 156 access, as I mentioned. The other historical resource that is there is the railroad right-of-way, which I believe is single gauge and was used for the cement plant. This is another big historical topic and of interest to the city of San Juan Bautista. There is currently a historical marker on Mission Vineyard Road documenting the railroad, but apparently that particular parcel is not being developed, so that marker would not be touched. If the barn were to be maintained and access were to come in from 156, the developer, and they made a presentation to the Planning Commission, which I attended, they would probably have to eliminate one of the lots, lot number 10. Also, there's going to be a 9-foot sound wall, so that would have to be dealt with. So I guess I just want to finish by saying that we're chipping away at all of the things that make our town really historic, and that barn is one of them. It's really visual, and it's part of the, you know, ambiance, or whatever you want to call it, that make us San Juan Bautista. So it's my view. Oh, and by the way, somebody did recommend an architectural historian. He lives in Pacific Grove. His name is Seth Bernstein. And the Monterey Historic Resources Board uses this gentleman to do their assessments. And he came highly recommended by one of the members of that board. So, again, I think it would be premature to pre-zone the parcel that the barn sits on to R1. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. Are these parcels, are these structures on the unbuildable lots? There were 2 lots that were listed as...
Well, the interesting part about the barn is that it's half in the city and half in the county. And the portion in the city is going to remain commercial. And the portion, the half in the county that's coming into the city will be there. It'll be residential. The zoning has nothing to do with the deposition. A barn can exist on residential, it can exist on multiple, it can exist on commercial. The underlying zoning has nothing to do with the historical nature. The architectural historian is going to review that, and the owner has been advised, and she has submitted some reports that she had there, and that they're going to employ an additional archaeological resource person to evaluate it. Mm-hmm.
So what happened with the tower that used to be there that was torn down?
Long time ago, yes.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't. Yeah, it's like within the
right.
last couple of years, and nobody spoke up on that.
That was on
Was that
motel property.
Oh, that was the
on Leal's
motel
property.
property, yeah, right, yeah, that was removed.
So you know the answer to that question?
My name is John McCormick. I am been to this council many times. The applicant could not attend tonight, so I'm here in her stead. So I wanted to point out that it is from Kathleen Manning that the main beam in that barn is cracked. And you can probably divine that by just looking at how the west side of the barn is collapsing on its own. She does plan on dismantling it and rebuilding it at her convenience. So that is her plan. It is my understanding that there is a historical report that's been completed, and I believe I was told that it was prepared by WSA Associates. They are qualified archaeological and cultural historian firm, and that they have already determined as the predecessors, because apparently Caltrans has done 2 studies on that barn already, and those studies are referenced by her work. So that would, in my mind, debunk the historic thing, because we already have that study. So I'm sure that Roger can fill you in on that and the rest of it, but I just want to make it clear that it's my understanding that it is not historic and it is actually evaluated by a professional. I'm here to answer other questions as they evolve, and happy to fill in other details. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I guess she wants to rebuttal that.
Questions? Need more cards?
Card. Jolene?
Jolene Cosio, 181 Lang Street. I appreciate last month you listening to my comments about that I thought that property was going to either remain commercial or become industrial. And you all seem supportive of that idea, and yet because the general plan has it as R1, you chose to go ahead with the R1 zoning. So that's not what I'm here to talk about. I am here to mention to you, in case you don't already know, that there is already a developer who has a project all penciled out for that property, and they presented to the Planning Commission this month earlier. It was a very interesting meeting to me, because not only is there a stream that runs through a corner of the property, which they're planning on making that part park, I guess. There's also the fault itself, but there's also a fault zone. The fault itself is on the corner of the property, but the fault zone goes all the way over to the middle of the property and is completely under where they have planned out these houses. And one comment that the developer made that was extremely interesting to me is, we're going to move the well. Well 2 already had I believe, exploratory hole drilled next to it for a new well. Well, or it didn't already have it? It has not been drilled yet?
The exploratory one was on the other side of Mission. The exploratory well was on the other side of Mission Farms.
Oh, okay. I thought there was one drilled also by well 2. At any rate, they're going to move well 2 to the front of the property. And that really took me aback, because here's a process that's apparently been going on for about a year. Unbeknownst to most of us, staff was aware of it. And to me, that's a little bit of a transparency issue, especially because the project itself involves moving our city well.
Roger, is that another well?
This would be
well 5.
Yeah, this would be well number 4.
4.
A new
Be a replacement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the location would no longer be by well 2, like it was originally planned?
Well, see, Jolene, for your information, you can't drill a new well within 100, I believe it's 100 feet, of an existing well.
Correct.
All right? So what these people are proposing, and very honestly, we have not seen any of this. And I don't even know if the Planning Commission has seen the actual map.
Yes.
But when it comes up to the City Council, but they are going to put, as my understanding, they're going to drill a new well for the city to replace what is now called well 2 and cap that off.
Can I come back and say more about that? The applicant spent well over $100,000 researching the earthquake zone.
Excuse me, I'd like to interrupt for a second. We're here to talk about the annexation. We're not here to talk about Copperleaf, which I agree with Jolene to a point, because somebody asked me about Copperleaf and I had no idea what they were talking about. It had to be explained to me. But we're here to talk about pre-zoning. My understanding, and I have a question for you about this, is the CEQA process is a process that we're going to have to go through no matter what.
That is correct.
Does that, well, I'd like to hear from Deborah on the question. You expressed it pretty clearly, and I want her to confirm it.
The Planning Commission is going through the CEQA process right now.
But is that in any way affected by the R1 zoning that we're contemplating here?
No, because you've already approved that in your general plan with approval of that, and then you've approved a negative deck for the pre-zoning and annexation already.
Okay, and so that doesn't affect the CEQA process in any way, shape, or form?
No, if there's a historical building, then when the project comes forward, that will be considered as part of the project and will likely cause an EIR to be required.
Sure. So I think one of my I guess my advice to the public on this is that we saw, this is very reminiscent of the development at the other end of town, the 86 home development, and a number of people coming out speaking very passionately about that project, in opposition to that project, at a point when the project was not before us. My concern is that we're going to, these are not, I don't disagree necessarily. I can appreciate the point of view, but it's not the question that's before us. And we need you to come at the time that project goes before the Planning Commission for their approval, for the CEQA comments, etc., to make these comments and to make this feedback. I just think that it's misplaced at this point in the process. And if you disagree,
No, not at all.
No, I'm speaking to Kara. Because I know you have a strong background here, and I appreciate your input, but I'm just not sure this is the time and place.
Well, one comment that deals directly with the rezoning, and that is if that parcel that has the barn in it is rezoned to R1, then you could only build a residence on that. You couldn't make it commercial because it was
That is incorrect.
Residential.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. On an R1 lot, you can have an accessory building, an outbuilding on an R1 lot.
This is not an accessory building.
And that barn can be an accessory. I beg to differ with you.
So I get your point. I appreciate your point.
If you make it R1, you've got to build something that's R1 on it. And, it's a commercial building, or we would be limited with what we could do with the structure.
True. This body does have the ability to change it. We can go back and change it if someone has a proposal to make.
Is it in the county and it would have to
No, it's not in the county. It won't be in the county, probably. My expectation is it won't be in the county. And it's been zoned since 1998 for commercial, and there hasn't been any activity.
Right, but now
there's
an opportunity.
It is. Is there something that you're aware of, someone that's interested in the parcel or the building to do something with it?
The city, under CEQA, natural resources and cultural resources, the legislature, in its wisdom, on behalf of all the people of the state of California, has decided that this is important. It's important to our future. We can't, just because there's a cracked beam,
You're right.
Who knows, maybe it can be fixed. But this barn is visual, it's part of our environment, and so, in my view, it is privately owned, but we can regulate it. That's what we can do.
Sure.
This is regulation.
Sure.
And WSA is the developer's consultant, not the city's.
So
Caltrans, these are all big conflicts of interest. The city has to hire the person to do the reports.
Yes.
But anyway, my concern was that it become R1, and then we would be limited with what we could do with it.
Sure.
Thank you for listening. Sorry.
Well, what's the preservation, it's the state organization, it's a nonprofit group.
Well, there's a California Preservation Foundation, and then at the state level, there's a state historian.
No, I'm talking the Preservation Foundation.
Right.
I went at your urging to their CEQA conference, and so you're preaching to the choir. I hear you. I agree. I get it. Again, I just don't think this is the time and the place for that conversation.
Yeah, and I just wanted to reiterate, if there ever was a demolition permit for this property, then likely that would give, not likely, it would give rise to CEQA.
Right.
And if it was a historical building, then an EIR would be required to demo the property.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
We need to determine that it's historical. Okay, thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor? Can I just ask
Yeah.
one more question? It concerns LAFCO.
Yeah, I understand you guys are already prepared to make this application to LAFCO for a R1 designation.
We haven't voted tonight.
Well,
That's
you
the
voted
first
for it
step.
last month, and this would be a continuation of that, so likely, in my opinion. But I'm not sure how the LAFCO process proceeds when there is already a development designed for this property, and that's sort of why I'm asking these questions about the well and the earthquake and all that stuff, because I thought when you went to LAFCO, if there was already a project, that kind of changes the application.
Are you talking about an approved project? Because I don't think this project has been approved
Does it have
yet, has
that?
it?
That's my question. I don't know. I don't remember I used to attend a lot of LAFCO meetings.
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is you followed this through the planning commission? That's how you knew
Yes,
that there was a project?
Approved.
It's not approved.
It's
Okay,
presented.
therefore it doesn't exist as far as LAFCO considering the
That's how
property.
they look at it, as far as you're aware.
Well, if it's not
It
approved,
is only a proposal at this time. There is no approval. They're going through the process.
And so it won't
Yeah.
matter to LAFCO, because that's my question.
think
I'm not arguing with you, I'm
But it's-
asking the question.
It matters to LAFCO because they look to see if services are going to be provided to the annexed parcel. So that's what the city does, a deal with LAFCO on
So
the
it does.
annexation to make sure that
In order for you to
appropriate
go-
services are there.
And
So
Deborah's right.
services-
In order for us to go to LAFCO, we have to demonstrate to them that it is possible to serve, and it's
Okay.
within our sphere of influence, and it's contiguous.
this is an infill project.
So we do have to be able to
Yeah.
serve that,
Yeah.
Yes.
prove that we are able to serve that parcel in order for the county to allow us to annex.
Not the county, LAFCO.
LAFCO, okay. Sorry, I confuse LAFCO and the county sometimes. So is there a LAFCO meeting this month, or is it?
Yes, it'll be a week from Thursday.
And will this be presented?
I haven't gotten the agenda yet.
I thought,
We have a
yeah, I
new
thought that-
executive officer. I don't know
Yeah,
what we're going to be
Brent-
doing.
Brent called me, and they're canceling the 28th meeting, and they won't be until the May. Mhm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right.
Did he tell you why?
He said that they're doing some administration interviewing for a new CAO, or a new LAFCO executive director. I think that's what he
Yeah,
told
well, I
me.
thought we had
Yeah.
come to an agreement on that. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
But if they do have it, yeah.
So it probably wouldn't be presented to LAFCO
No,
until
Oh,
next
no,
month.
I'm sure
regardless.
not. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you bet.
But this is nothing more than pre-zoning a land that will, if it does come in,
Yeah.
then it's going to go forward to LAFCO, that it'll have the zoning that's consistent with the general plan.
And that's the only thing that's going to be on it. There won't be any
Exactly.
approved projects because you
And
can't approve a
I
project.
adamantly disagree with Caravank, is it makes no difference whether there's a historical building on an R1 or a commercial or a multiple. It has nothing to do with that.
Or mining operation.
Yeah, or a mining operation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, I've dealt with that.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
do we have any more speaker cards on this item? Okay. So now we have to consider adoption of the ordinance. Would anybody like to make a motion one way or the other?
Any conversation?
I'll make a motion that we adopt an ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the pre-zoning of 13.3 acre parcel of land situated at 300 San Juan Hollister Road to R1 Low Density Residential Zoning District, APN 012-130-1012, 021, 023, and 031.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call?
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Ball?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martirena?
Aye.
Mayor Edge?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the mayor passes unanimously.
Okay, we'll move to 5B. Do we need a break? Anybody? Huh? No? Okay.
We only have one left on this.
I dehydrated myself before I
It'll be
did.
short.
All right, 5B, consider resolution 2016.
I thought we did that.
Didn't we already do that one?
5B?
No, we're on, we just did 5A.
Yeah.
Now we're on-
This is the long one.
Yeah.
Do I need to read all of this?
No.
No, I don't
No?
think so. It's
All
on
right.
the agenda.
Consider the,
That is the title.
well, it's a resolution setting aside 2 resolutions passed by the City Council in 2014. Roger?
I can give the staff report on this one. Mr. Mayor, council members, I know you're aware that the convenience store, food, quick serve restaurant, and fuel station project on the Alameda was reviewed by the courts, and the court found that the environmental review, which was a mitigated negative deck, was accurate, and except for the portion that concerned the noise study. And the noise study was overbroad and for a larger project, and the judge ordered that back to the city to redo the noise portion on the mitigated negative deck, and we're sending it back to the consultants that prepared the mitigated negative deck to redo the noise section. We've already commissioned a noise study, and based on the new statistics, or the current statistics for the project, there are going to be less mitigations than were required initially what the City Council approved. So we should be able to get this back to you, depending on noticing requirements, at a very future meeting. So we really have no choice but to follow the judge's orders now and withdraw the approval of these as set forth in these 2 resolutions, and rehear the project again with the mitigated negative deck as amended, as required by the courts.
Great, thank you. Any questions of staff?
No.
So we're going to have to go through this whole thing again?
No, not the whole thing,
Just
Just the noise portion of it,
Just the
so,
noise?
yes.
The rest of it is in place.
Okay,
I thought the same thing.
that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Okay, do you have any speaker cards on this?
We're going to go through it all tonight.
No speaker cards? No,
Oh,
okay.
there we
Did
go.
anybody want to turn in a speaker card?
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name's Tammy, and I'm with Downstairs Restaurant. As to this project,
Maybe I should stop you before you go any further. What we're doing right now has been ordered by the court. We're not dealing with the project. We're just sending a portion of it. We're rescinding 2 resolutions,
correct,
and we're going to restudy the noise, and then it'll come back to us. So we're not dealing with the project right now. We're dealing with the court.
so
If you're speaking to the project, this is not the time.
this is not the time?
Yes.
Oh, poo-poo. Okay.
We're not discussing the project. We're following the directions of the court.
Oh, okay, so I'll have to.
It'll come back to us. Watch the agendas.
Thank you.
Before you,
Thanks, Tammy.
will this in fact come back to us? Will the noise
Yes, most absolutely. I,
We
in
approved
a very
resolutions the
future
first
meeting.
time,
Okay,
so-
that's what I'm asking. Yes.
Yeah.
But,
That's what yes, sir,
so,
not us.
so the only thing that,
We pay her a lot more money than you guys.
the only thing that anybody can, let's say, contend is the noise part. The rest of it has all been approved by us, by the court, and everybody else.
That's correct.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. No other speaker cards, all right.
So will that take
Go ahead.
a month?
I don't know. You'll have to just keep an eye on the agendas, and when it's ready, it'll come back to us.
Thank you.
It hasn't been done yet. Okay, so we'll close public comment, bring it back to the council. Any discussion? Any motions? Somebody.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Tony.
Wait
You
a
don't
minute.
have to read the whole
It's
thing.
in here. Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. How come I don't have it? Okay, I move a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista setting aside resolutions 2014-43 and 2014-44 in accordance with the peremptory, how do you pronounce that? Peremptory writ of mandate of interlocutory remand for reconsideration of potential noise impacts issued by the County of San Benito Superior Court.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Roll call.
Yes.
Councilmember Bott.
Yes.
Councilmember Lund.
Lund?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Martirena.
Aye.
Mayor Edge.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion is taken by the maker passes unanimously.
All right,
And the
we'll move
number,
to 6.
Connie?
This is 22.
22.
22, okay. Okay, moving to item 6A, a resolution establishing a water and sewer payment plan for limited income individuals.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I would suggest that we continue this because we just got some more information tonight, and I don't think staff's had any opportunity to prepare a comprehensive report. Is that, do you
Yeah,
agree?
I just
Roger?
roughed out some numbers, but I haven't
Yeah.
really had a chance to really delve into it, you know.
It'd give us another month of history with the new rates, as well as some time to crunch those
Yes.
numbers.
Mhm.
so.
That sounds good, because I didn't get this until today.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah.
got it today, yeah.
Right now.
All right, we'll continue this to the next meeting.
Thank you.
6B has gone already. 6C, schedule special meeting for first fiscal year 2016-2017 budget workshop.
Okay.
Let's see. That's a lot of meetings.
I thought I had the schedule. Didn't we have the
I
schedule?
did put
that
them
many
there,
times?
particularly for
Yeah, it's
you
here.
guys to pick and choose. We don't have
this
to
is
have all.
me.
Oh,
We already
yeah,
did
right.
this, okay.
Yeah.
They're all fine with me.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, here we go. Schedule look okay to everybody?
Yeah,
And,
if we can knock them out as quickly as possible, that'd be great.
They're Wednesdays and Thursdays.
You've got two that are back-to-back
And one Tuesday.
nights, so maybe eliminating
That's at a
one of
regular
those.
meeting.
Yeah.
You know, typically.
And I would say the 5th is now
We did 3 or 4.
problematical because we have a planning commission on the
But
3rd,
when
and
we
then
get
I
to that
have
point, if we need that meeting, we can just
state official coming in on
cancel
the
it and move to the
5th.
next one.
So I would say is the
Not the
As long as
11th.
you're okay with the first.
11th is
19th.
good?
11th is a good, that's a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Thursdays are
Yes,
hard
it
to
is.
deal with because that Thursday is also the strategic plan, you know, on the second Thursday of the month. You know.
I usually celebrate that at home anyway.
Well, that's why the 11th is, that's why the 11th is on a Wednesday.
Yeah. The 18th is or the 19th, or the 19th.
I was just telling Robert, he can't make the 26th. We can do the first 2 or 3 if we can all make those, and then from there, if we need to make adjustments in the schedule, we can.
So how about the 11th, 19th, and you can't make the 26th?
I may have
How about the 25th?
I could do the 25th.
So how about?
Wednesday, right?
Yeah, the 11th, 19th, 25th. And then we see if we need additional, or do you, how many did we did 3 or 4?
You didn't mention the 5th.
Roger just asked to pass the 5th.
It's going to be.
Pass on the 5th?
Yeah.
You're going to celebrate that day too, huh?
Well.
Okay.
That wasn't what I was asking.
The 25th and 26th are consecutive.
So,
That's
Robert
on
can't
purpose?
Do the 25th, not the
Robert
26th.
can't make the 26th, so we
Yeah.
scratch the 26th. And then how about just keeping the 2nd of June and, well,
Yeah.
actually, let's just leave them on and then see if we need them.
Usually
probably
we
won't
only
need
need
that many.
about 3 or 4.
But if we pencil those 5 meetings in, then we know we'll get it.
So we'll cancel the 5th and the 26th and adopt the rest?
Book the rest, yeah.
And I think it fits too with our schedule, because on the 25th, then we can take the final stuff, and then I can really crank in the final stuff, and then I can bring it back the first couple weeks in June and get ready for our June 21st meeting. Because there's always a last minute juggle of all of the revenues, and that's the toughest part.
We've got a lot of stuff to add in this year.
Yeah.
The San Juan Committee letter, you've got that
I've got
already.
that,
Yeah.
and I've put it in my budget binder already, yes.
And we'll get the RFPs on
Yes.
security.
Security, yes.
Okay. All right, any speaker cards? Any questions of council?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll close public comment.
So we're going to leave the June meetings
Yeah.
in case we need them.
Right.
Yeah, 5 and 26 for sure. Any motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, we do. It's an action item.
Oh.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call?
Okay, Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Margarita?
Aye.
Mayor Ridge?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
And the next item is consider approval of Youth Commissioner Advisor job description. I just got this today. I haven't read it over, but
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
This was
This is the
just
same
a
one
question
we
of
had already got?
formatting. Yeah, Trish simply needed to format it to match the other position descriptions in the city's documentation. The content did not change from what we have previously seen and
Okay, but this was recommended to us by
by
the
the strategic plan committee.
Strategic Plan
Yeah,
Committee.
was
So-
discussed. We simply,
just
Trish
need to
had
rubber
asked us
stamp
to
it.
continue it until it could be formatted in a consistent manner.
Yeah.
And so I believe I'm stating that correctly. Is that your
That is correct,
understanding?
yeah.
So I don't think there shouldn't be any difficulty with this.
Okay, so any questions before we go? Any speaker cards? No? Okay, we'll close public comment. Anybody want to
I'll make a motion, we go ahead with
approve it? Okay,
I'll
is there a
second
second? Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Margarita?
Aye.
Mayor Ridge?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, discussion item. Consider amending Chapter 3-3 license fees, tobacco retail businesses. We had a
Martha didn't come?
large folder inserted with our packet.
Yeah, the history behind this is we were contacted by the health department, and we examined our license ordinance, and we find that there is no designation or allowable of retail tobacco shops listed in our thing. We wanted to add that to it, but the bigger picture here is that the health department is adamant that they would like to see the city of San Juan adopt some restrictions on retail tobacco shops in the city of San Juan Bautista, similar to the city of Hollister, They're to prevent the sale of tobacco products as well as the new trend of the e-cigarettes to the youth. And that's their big concern, and I think...
So this would not be so much tobacco shops, it would be anybody who sells tobacco products?
Anybody that sells retail tobacco products, that they would have certain restrictions and conditions where we can locate it away from schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this ordinance gets into the details of constraining where you're going to put them. The license portion of it says, yeah, we can issue a business license, but it doesn't give us any criteria to say, oh, you can't put it next to a school or a daycare center or something like that.
We need to define it a little better to make it
a little more descriptive to where you can put some conditions on it.
Safer.
They've done a bunch of work, and they have the model from Hollister. The other beauty of this is that the health department has a program in place for enforcement, so we don't have to go out and Rogers doesn't have to wander around writing tickets. They have a whole program in place to do the monitoring and the enforcement, and will appear to be very willing to collaborate on this.
Isn't it against the law to sell tobacco to minors already?
It is, but this tightens things up, and it also broadens it to the e-cigarettes and some of the other what they call flavored tobacco products that are not necessarily covered.
We have a State Department, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, but they, if you have to worry about firearms and alcohol, you're not going to be worried about tobacco. And so, we have to control this at the city and county level, because the state is not going to come down here and walk into Windmill and watch them.
And the health department has got a good program for this,
So there are some businesses that sell tobacco items where they're in clubs that are 21 and older in the city. It's like the Bears Highway where they have a certain humidor with cigars.
Is she 21 and over?
Yeah.
She is, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't get in there with those.
Because it's not a food establishment.
No, it's not a food. You can't go in unless you're 21.
And again,
bars are selling cigarettes.
and we looked at that very same issue here in terms that they would qualify for the regulations that we're proposing, the city of Hollister would meet that.
Yeah, I believe that there are currently 5 businesses selling cigarettes in town. The Valero, the two bars, and the Windmill and Bears Hideaway.
How about Neil's?
Actually, you're right. So that would be 6.
So both grocery stores.
I believe so. Yeah. So that would be 6 currently.
A future one.
Yes, presumably.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like it adds a classification to the business licenses where we would have if you have a massage parlor, you need an additional license, just not a simple business license. To be a tobacco retailer, it's just the same sort of thing, and that's not currently in our code. So I would suggest.
So now when they're going to apply for an alcohol tobacco license, they do it through the county.
The county has nothing to do with it here.
What's that?
The county has nothing to do with it here. If they want an alcohol, that's a state.
Notifications in the window for transfer of alcohol.
That's
license?
ABC.
You go right to ABC.
Okay, so ABC.
That's alcohol only.
Okay. And then, so we do our own tobacco, right?
Well, we don't do anything right now.
We don't do anything.
We haven't refined our, whatever, 3.3?
We don't have primary responsibility for tobacco, but because the state doesn't get around, it's too small potatoes for them. We need to, in order to accomplish what we want to, we need to make it a city ordinance.
Yeah.
So basically,
I think it's absurd.
we're going to make the rules.
What's that?
Why would we do that? You can't sell to minors. If they're going to violate the law, they're going to violate the law, Is this really something the city council is going to get
Well,
involved in?
you said the tobacco program has, they have enforcement. They'll send around people
It's the new tobacco, e-cigarettes and flavored that.
Yeah, we don't regulate alcohol at the city level. But we're all concerned about it. It impacts us. I have more of an issue. I mean, I agree with you for the most part. The tobacco products, cigarettes aren't a problem. The kids going in and walking in and buying a cigarette, probably not doing that. But there's the explosion of the flavored tobacco products in the e-cigarettes and the targeting of the kids in the marketing. I have a real problem with, and I just don't think this is something we should turn a blind eye to.
I'm not aware of that problem, but I will defer to you if you're more aware of that problem, because you're probably closer in age to that than I am.
Well, I mean, there's coliseums that are banning smoking altogether.
Well, let's talk about banning smoking on 3rd Street.
We had a communication, I had, in my file about wanting us to do a no smoking in public ordinance or something.
Yeah, that, in my mind, that comes directly back to our enforcement issues. I mean,
so on this
one of the things I like about this is they're going to take care of it.
Yeah, because it's not good to pass laws that can't get enforced. It just breeds contempt for law.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So shall we refer this to staff to develop something?
I would agree. I think that makes sense to
And the reason I put it on discussion is I wanted to get your input, and then we'll bring it forth, and then I'll probably have Deborah take a look at it, and then we'll bring it back to you.
Good. The thing with these e-cigarettes is they market them to kids, and they market them as something that doesn't have smoke, so therefore it's safe.
Right.
But they're feeding them nicotine, which is a drug. And they get them hooked on that, and then pretty soon they're going to be lighting up cigarettes.
Well, if they just keep working on that generation, it'll automatically escalate over years.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I will say that I think that the Hollister license fee is very, very high. I don't think there's a need for us to have, a very high licensing fee.
I agree with you.
It should be in line with our other licenses, in my opinion.
What is their fee?
It's
$269.
something like that.
$269.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Depending on if
we don't need to make
volume
a money-making thing, just a control.
Yeah, we want to.
But there would be a fee for this.
Yeah, it's a business license. It's just a class. They need a business license already. We're just saying this is a class of
tobacco
business
fee.
license.
You could make it $15, $20, whatever, just
Well,
cover
whatever
our
you
cost.
That's that's for what I would suggest Roger would
could study
determine.
it.
That it be an equitable.
Okay, comments, City Council.
Public comment?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. It was just a discussion item, though. It wasn't, we didn't vote. It's referred to staff to come back.
It wasn't clear to me, these e-cigarettes, are they legal for minors? And this flavored tobacco?
I don't know.
Apparently they are.
We're going to study it and amend our ordinance.
And, I'm not in
state rates
favor.
are evolving.
Okay, I'm not in favor of smoking personally, but the windmill market is across from a school, so when you look at the range, you might want to take that into consideration, because I think they sell a lot of cigarettes there.
Well, they're far enough away, though, because also you can't sell alcohol within a certain distance of the school.
Okay, so then they're probably
The
outside.
windmill's far enough away,
Okay.
It's like 500 feet.
Okay, City Council comments, anybody?
No, sir.
No? Okay, I have a proclamation for the National Small Business Week that didn't make it into our agenda.
Right, and we'll have the tags at the same time. It'll be great.
Do I need to read this whole thing to?
Here, want me to read it? I'll read it.
Just by title only.
I read the Fremont Peak Day. I'm done performing.
It's a proclamation for National Small Business Week. Whereas every year since 1963, the President of the United States has issued a proclamation announcing National Small Business Week. And whereas National Small Business Week recognizes the critical contributions of America's entrepreneurs and small business owners. And whereas with integrity and hard work, anyone can build a better life, and whereas small businesses are the lifeblood of our economy, employing half of our country's workforce and creating nearly 2 out of every 3 new American jobs. And whereas the San Benito County Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau will be celebrating our local small businesses during National Small Business Week, now therefore, the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista do hereby proclaim May 1st through May 7th, 2016 as National Small Business Week in San Juan Bautista, California, and call upon our community to recognize their contributions and support our local small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Trish isn't here, but I think that suffices for what we needed to do.
Just sign it.
Proclamation.
Oh, that's right, I better sign it, thank you.
Do we sign or do he just signs it, is that it?
As far as city council comments, have you all received this?
Yes, I have that.
Have you all read it?
Word
for
word.
Word for word.
What is it?
That's good.
That's why we're carrying it over.
There are sections of it that are somewhat outdated. When do we have to adopt this, Roger?
We're going to bring it back to you next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everybody took it over and read it.
Yeah,
of course.
That thing was
in my
initiated,
bathroom.
started back in 2006.
Yeah.
And so it has to be somewhat a little bit updated.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 'cause it's,
Why didn't they update it before they sent it to us?
Well, there's, 1.5 staff in the Office of Emergency Services?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to get this on the books so that we become then eligible for funding, potential
Gotcha.
funding. And he's already volunteered to update and upgrade all this stuff at no cost to us, so.
As it goes.
He's
Yeah.
a great guy,
Okay.
and I think we should support him, but
Okay. Is he a county employee?
he is.
Yeah. Who is it?
Kevin O'Neill.
Oh, okay, I've heard the name.
Yes.
Okay, any other city council comments?
I just wanted to ask Counselor, do you know what the age limit is on e-cigarettes? I've been trying to look through these and nothing's stating.
Supposing it's 21, I don't know if there's something.
I don't know that there are age signs on vape shops that have
Is smoking
restrictions, so
21?
I assume it's 21.
Is regular cigarette smoking?
Well, no, I'm sorry, 18.
18?
I assume it's 18 because, well, I can look it up right now on my phone if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
City manager comments? None? City attorney comments? Thank you. Thank you all. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion.